Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat and welcome to the virtual oral defense for our finalists for the 2021 BSP Youth Summit Competition. I am Sarah Padilla of the BSP Economic and Financial Learning Office, and I'll be your moderator this afternoon. So before we start, we would like to acknowledge, of course, ang mga finalists na kasama natin this afternoon. Once again, congratulations for making it to the top 5. We're also joined by the members of our screening committee and, of course, the members of our board of judges na makikilala natin later. So before we proceed, let us first have a recap of the activities, the things that we have done in the lead up to today's virtual oral defense. So if you may recall, noong May 1, nag-announce po ang BSP ng Youth Summit Competition. We've set a deadline hanggang 12 midnight ng May 31, 2021 for the teams to submit their proposals. We've constituted the members of the screening committee on June 3, and the screening committee has reviewed the proposals from June 3 to 10. For the first pass screening, we've selected the top 25 of the proposals that we have received. This is equivalent to 23 proposals or 23 semi-finalists. Nagkaroon din po tayo ng second pass screening to select our top 5 finalists na magpe-present po mamaya. We've had a joint validation of the ranking of the semi-finalists and the top 5 finalists noong June 22. June 23, we've endorsed these finalists and their entries to our board of judges. We've had a briefing of our finalists in preparation for today's virtual oral defense. Noong June 25, we've had a tech rehearsal noong June 29. That's yesterday. And of course, today, magkakaroon tayo ng virtual oral defense. Marinig natin silang mag-present. The judges will deliberate and determine the final ranking of our 5 finalists because they're all winners. We'll help them prepare for the virtual youth summit. So from July 1 to July 6. And then on July 7, magkakaroon kami ng tech rehearsals with our finalists. And of course, magkikita-kita po tayong lahat on July 9 for the announcement of the final ranking of our finalists based sa desisyon ng ating board of judges today. So to recap, we have received the registration ng 217, but out of that, only 93 of them submitted noong 12 midnight noong May 31. These are the members of our screening committee coming from 8 teams po, coming from the following offices: the Economic and Financial Learning Office, the Communications Office, Corporate Affairs Office, Consumer Protection and Market Conduct Office, International Relations Office, the Financial Inclusion Office, and the Payment Systems Oversight Department. And to introduce the members of our Board of Judges, so ang ating pong BOJ pinamumunuan ng Managing Director of the Strategic Communication Advocacy, Mr. Antonio Joselito G. Lambino II. Good afternoon, sir. The members of the BOJ, we have Ma'am Edita L. Martin, the Executive Director of Investor Relations Office, Mr. Raymond O. Estioco, the Senior Director of Payment System Oversight Department, who is represented today by Attorney Leia M. Irao, the Deputy Director of PISOD. We also have Attorney Charina B. De Vera, the Director of Consumer Protection and Market Conduct Office, Mr. J. Edward Amatong, the Director of Corporate Affairs Office, Ms. Ellen Joyce L. Suficiencia, the Director of Financial Inclusion Office, and Ma'am Alicia G. Lirios, the Acting Director of Communication Office. Ang ating pong screening committee at ang ating board of judges, ay familiar na sa ating scoring criteria na makikita nyo po sa inyong screen. The screening committee po ay nagbigay ng kanilang mga scores mula noong pinasadahan namin sa first pass and second pass, and also nagkaroon kami ng joint validation. So for all criteria except the last one, which is the presentation or verbal communication skills. Ang ating Board of Judges po, on the other hand, will give their scores for all of the criteria na nakikita niyo po ngayon for a total maximum score of 100. And these are the top 5 finalists advancing to the virtual oral defense. We have entry number 6, ePeso, a USSD-based financial system. Entry number 30, with TekNegosyo, a program proposal on the digitalization of rural MSMEs in the Philippines. Entry number 50, we digitize as one multi-stakeholder approach for widespread adaptation of digital financial services. Entry number 52, with Paleng QR PH, breaking the barriers to digital payment systems, starting from local public markets. And entry number 87, pagsuknit towards digital financial transformation of Abaca farmers through 2021 and beyond. We have given them a template ng ating slide deck na gagamitin ng ating mga finalists. The expected content of their deck are the following. It should include the problem statement, the program concept, their theory of change, the indicators or metrics of success, and the policy or program implementation. So ang program po natin this afternoon is quite simple. We are going to proceed with the presentation ng ating mga finalists. They are given 15 minutes to present. And after that, we are going to have a Q&A mula sa ating Board of Judges. Kung meron silang mga katanungan, that's also for 15 minutes. The finalists have been instructed na maaari lamang silang magkaroon ng maximum of 2 presenters per team. They will manage their own slides. They will share their own slides later, and they will have a time limit of 15 minutes, and we will strictly observe that time limit. Meron po tayong timer mamaya. So after the first 2 presentations, magkakaroon tayo ng health break for 10 minutes, and continue with presentations from finalists number 3, 4, and 5. After that, we are going to have some announcements para sa ating mga finalists. After the announcements, we would ask our finalists to log out of MS Teams dahil mag-start na po ang deliberations ng ating Board of Judges. The sequence of presentations ng ating finalists will be as follows. Presenter number 1 would be entry number 30, presenter number 2, entry number 87, presenter number 3, entry number 6, presenter number 4, entry number 52, and presenter number 5 would be entry number 50. Okay, so kung ready na ang ating mga finalists, we are also ready for you. Do we have finalist number 1? Finalist number 1, please share your screen. Okay, are the presenters ready? Please say yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
timer ready? Okay, finalist number 1, your time starts now.
Good afternoon to the Board of Judges, Screening Committee, fellow students, and respective mentors. In our uphill climb towards nationwide recovery from the devastation of the COVID-19 pandemic and its ill effects, there is a strong imperative to address issues of inequality through a coordinated effort between government, private sector, and civil society. My name is Eunice Tanilon, and here today with me are my teammates, Ivan Bueno, R.A. Solomon, Marla Torres, and Rocco De Castro. We'd like to introduce you to Aling Teki, a pop-up ukay-ukay store owner. Despite working hard and running her business for almost 2 years, she has not seen any sizable growth nor reached more members of her community. The pandemic has also affected her store, as people are unwilling to check out and try her products. Given her low and stagnant income, she has no proper access and still has some hesitancy on using financial technology.
Aling Teki is among the 8 million estimated nano enterprises in the Philippines, a subgroup of MSMEs distinguished by the said P to have the least capital and largely belonging to the informal economy. The underutilization of financial technology is evident in the country, as 56% of Filipino MSMEs use technology mainly for communication purposes only. 34% use digital tools for sales and marketing, and only 10% use technological tools for sophisticated digitalization.
This lagging digital transformation, specifically among nano enterprises, has hindered MSME growth. Ultimately, this has led to hindering businesses' agility in coping with economic shocks, limiting their access to higher value markets, and aggravating their vulnerability to predatory lending.
So what can we do to address this situation? We propose TekNegosyo. Through the collaboration of youth organizations and rural finance frontliners, TekNegosyo is a digital capacity building program that aims to address inequalities in financial technology and market access, which have been further exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
TekNegosyo intends to establish a more inclusive financing and digitalization ecosystem for rural MSMEs through youth organizations as an arm to assist in the digital transformation of MSMEs and rural finance frontliners, i.e., rural banks, microfinance NGOs, and cooperatives, as partners in capacity building. So, how can Aling Teki along with MSMEs benefit from this? Enter TekNegosyo's theory of change. The overarching goal of the intervention is improved business productivity for nano enterprises through enhanced productive capacities and increased access to market and financing opportunities. Through the TOC, we outlined three dimensions to achieve outcomes. First, by improving the digital and operational capacities of rural nano enterprises. Second, by scaling up the linkages of nano enterprises to higher value markets. And third, by providing opportunities for more optimal financing structures to these nano enterprises. Aling Teki would gain access to knowledge and skills building opportunities for digitalization to ultimately develop her Ukay business's capacities to utilize the wide array of digital, financial, and entrepreneurial tools that can facilitate enterprise development according to her specific needs and goals. Now, it seems promising, but how exactly can Aling Teki partake in the TekNegosyo initiative? Aling Teki needs helpers in order to digitally transform her business. This is where the BSP, along with other government agencies, development finance partners, and other youth groups come in. Through them, the TekNegosyo convention is conducted, laying a conducive framework for engagement between MFIs, cooperatives, youth organizations, and nano enterprises.
This intervention is an encompassing one, like a big push, and it attempts to achieve these outcomes through four key phases. The first phase focuses on getting the rural finance frontliners involved in TekNegosyo and incorporating them into the plans. The TOC outlines a few key assumptions in facilitating the onboarding process. First, that the BSP has significant pull to entice its development partners through its regulatory and coordination powers. And second, that the content developed within the convention is evidence-based and amounts to more avenues by which rural finance frontliners can engage nano enterprises. With its financial supervision powers, the BSP can team up with other institutions which are not limited to the Cooperative Development Authority, Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Microfinance Council of the Philippines to convene Aling Teki's development finance partners, the microfinance institutions, and cooperatives. Assembling these rural finance frontliners may pave the way for financing and operational support to nano enterprises for business digitization. With the logistical difficulties of convening nano entrepreneurs, TekNegosyo then encourages MFIs, co-ops, and other pertinent development finance frontliners to survey demand for digital business tools and financing among their nano enterprise client base. It could also lead to building BSP's data bank on microfinance loans. More importantly, TekNegosyo gauges the readiness of rural finance frontliners in terms of digital finance, reliable credit analysis, and feasible loan eligibility standards. It also evaluates risk management measures to make way for financial inclusion. To evaluate our success in onboarding the rural finance frontliners, we ask how many of these rural finance frontliners are digitally transformed themselves, and how many of them are willing to help Aling Teki and other nano enterprises in their digital transformation. Additionally, before proceeding to engage with the youth, we may evaluate the sufficiency and usability of nano enterprise data collected by MFIs and co-ops.
The second phase involves two key parts: youth onboarding and exploratory sense-making activities. Following a successful phase one comes the onboarding of youth organizations interested in providing service to development efforts. It is undeniable that innovative digital movements are best executed by the generation with the greatest digital literacy, i.e., the youth today. The project provides buy-in and interest for such youth partners, primarily by providing passionate and driven youth with opportunities to develop their skills through mentorship systems and use such skills to serve rural nano enterprises. After the BSP has successfully onboarded the key stakeholders for the TekNegosyo Convention, BSP forms its youth engagement arm and finally leverages on the creativity and agility of the youth, specializing in socioeconomic fields. Under BSP YEA's facilitation, youth organizations and rural finance frontliners can explore the context and needs of nano enterprises and flesh out potential solutions. Phase 2 represents the collaborative sense-making stage integral to crafting contextualized efforts for the development of rural nano enterprises. BSP's newly formed youth engagement arm and the youth sector's partnership are strengthened with mutuality. Youth partners may register after receiving invitations from BSP, YEA, and formalize their commitment to the TekNegosyo initiative with contract signing. During the onboarding, the youth participants are made aware of the salient microfinance issues and data that are relevant to the next steps of the engagement. They are also informed of the networking and internship leads from BSP, YEA. Then, BSP YEA takes charge of mentoring through youth partners. Running from November to December 2021, mentoring sessions are mutual exchanges of ideas to address challenges. Mentors from BSP's YEA share expert advice on policy making and the intricacies of government work. On the other hand, the youth pitch solutions to circumvent blockers and would later incorporate such in the nano enterprise empowerment outputs. This mutuality between the youth and formal institutions creates a healthy balance of innovation and bureaucracy. To assess the level of youth involvement in TekNegosyo, BSP YEA may look into the number of participating youth organizations, individuals, and the annual renewal rate of youth partners at the end of the project cycle. On the qualitative side, mentors may weigh in on the quality and feasibility of course design and marketing solutions presented by the youth partners. Qualitative feedback after mentoring sessions may also be considered.
The goal of the capacity building agents in the Phase 3 or the TekNegosyo Hub is to enlighten more aling techies of the need for digital business transformation to cope with economic shocks such as the COVID-19 pandemic and to reap higher rewards from their product line through a greater market reach. Phase 3 thus concerns the capacity building efforts aimed at guiding nano enterprises throughout improving their digital and operational capabilities, with the youth on the lead. Rural development partners benefit from this arrangement in the additional in-house services they will be able to provide to nano enterprises, while youth partners are able to step up their skills with a BSP mentorship and gain credibility. Beneficial outcomes for these nano enterprises, such as improved KSAs and increased accessibility to financing and tech opportunities, are likely to emerge as a result of the outputs developed during Phase 3. Ano nga ba ang ambag ng kabataan? Bearing in mind the complex nano-entrepreneur experience, the youth partners shall be developing digestible content on financial technology and literacy, e-commerce, and other business processes and competencies. Rural finance frontliners may also introduce their array of financial products to nano-enterprises and potentially expedite their application processes through the TekNegosyo Hub, which shall be finalized by the last week of January 2022. Likewise, the youth plays an integral role in ramping up the reach of TekNegosyo initiatives via engaging social media collateral in different channels such as Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Aggressive marketing occurs in February 2022. Given that nano enterprises may be situated in rural areas, offline marketing of the TekNegosyo courses may ensue after the COVID pandemic subsides and would be further intensified by word of mouth coming from urban areas. Here we have a sneak peek of our TekNegosyo Hub, featuring our course packet download site, TekNegosyo partners information, and chatbot. We further delve into the course delivery and logistical aspects of the hub.
Besides providing a guide of available microfinance services in partner development finance frontliners, the TekNegosyo Hub offers these courses that would equip nano entrepreneurs in their digital transformation journey. For e-commerce, through readings and videos, we introduce different shopping platforms, e-payment, and mobile wallet services. Also, TekNegosyo guides these new users to digital account security and monitoring marketing statistics. For digital business processes and efficiency, we include tips on proper customer service, business negotiation and dealing, and business productivity. Basic bookkeeping, along with open source apps, may also be taught in text and video modules. For financial literacy and management, lessons may be delivered through Bluetooth transferred audio podcasts and radio features. Specific topics consist of online bank accounts, precautions on predatory lending and financial scams, and building one's emergency funds and insurance options.
Given constraints in digital infrastructure and the prevalence of mobile phone usage among nano enterprises, TekNegosyo digital transformation courses are mobile phone friendly. These modules, along with necessary applications, can be downloaded by nano entrepreneurs as they register for the TekNegosyo Hub website directly or at internet-connected physical branches of partner rural finance frontliners in March 2022. Once downloaded, these materials are ready for offline use. These course packets come with self-check activities to assess the nano entrepreneur's level of understanding. But wait, what if Aling Techie is having a hard time with her TekNegosyo course packets? For learners needing assistance or have questions on modules, they may seek help from the TekNegosyo Hub, chatbot, or forum. Fact-checking of course modules would be the responsibility of BSP YEA in collaboration with participating rural finance frontliners.
For TekNegosyo Hub, we hope to see nano enterprises thriving with a wider market presence and higher revenues and positioning to scale up their business operations. Training in digital finance aids Aling Techie and other nano enterprises to prepare simple financial reports and raise capital through loan and credit application. As these nano enterprises, which are part of the informal economy, gain stability, they may soon opt for formalization. We measure the effectiveness of TekNegosyo Hub in three dimensions of quantitative factors: digital transformation, business scale, and financial literacy. These are the three facets of empowerment that TekNegosyo hopes for Aling Techie and other nano enterprises to experience. Consequently, TekNegosyo's success in these facets will be determined by the next program phase, the feedback and project cycle.
The final phase then concerns evaluation and feedback. Mechanisms such as rapid impact assessments and surveys, both online and offline, will be utilized to measure TekNegosyo's effectiveness in addressing the three dimensions of nano enterprise capacity building. To facilitate TekNegosyo's cyclical runs, an improved intervention plan will then be developed, and youth organizations will be asked by the BSP YEA for commitment renewal.
After partaking in the TekNegosyo program, Aling Techie is now a proud owner of a thriving ukay-ukay business. She was able to learn the skills and financial technology tools relevant to her context. In doing so, she has access to necessary funding that would support her desires to reach more customers in her community. She also now has basic knowledge on digital bookkeeping, which has made her business much more efficient.
Aling Techie is just one prime example of the potential benefits of business digitalization. With more Aling Techies uplifted, maibabangon natin ang ating ekonomiya. Kaya, i-digital mo na.
Thank you so much for your time, and our group is now ready to receive questions.
Thank you very much, finalist number one. We'll now proceed to the Q&A portion. We have questions from our Board of Judges. Please raise your hand. We'll acknowledge you, and then you could fire away with your question. Any question from our Board of Judges? All right. Yes, sir, go ahead. MD Tony, do you have a question?
Oh, hi, good afternoon. I wasn't raising my hand, but yeah, I am curious. How would this youth YEA, right? Is what it's called. What does it stand for again? Youth
Engagement Arm po.
Yeah, I'm very curious about this. This is a very interesting proposal. How would it be sustained over time? What mechanisms would you put in place so that it becomes sustainable?
Perhaps Marla could answer this question.
For the BSP YEA, it could actually be a subgroup or a sub-office of the BSP Economic Education and Financial Literacy Group. So it could be, it serves as a mentors for these youth partners, and hopefully they would be able to convey the intricacies intricacies of government work, especially the laws concerning microfinance and the banking system.
And if I may ask a follow-up, thanks for that. If this were to go to scale in order to make an impact in the nano sector, how big should this office be? This sub-office?
Hopefully it could be maybe a 20-person office, if that would be possible. But of course, I'm sure BSP would also have a learning curve on this project as well, as much as the other stakeholders would also have different adjustments on their side.
So, and if I may just push that question further. So 20 staffers, what's the market like? How big is the nano enterprise market?
Actually, it's estimated at 8 million nano enterprises, and much of them are not really documented. It's just an estimate by the SEDP, founded by our coach, Servants Rapisura. So they're largely part of the informal economy. That's why documentation of this businesses are quite challenging.
I understand that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. However, in order to make an impact, let's just say that the 8 million is accurate. To make an impact in the sector, how many nano businesses should be supported, let's say on a per year basis?
On a per year basis, 50 to 100 nano enterprises would be good.
Out of 8 million?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, MD Tony. Do you have other questions? I see Ma'am Attorney Leah is raising her hand. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for your presentation. Yung question ko kasi, ang babata nyo ngayon, no? Tapos, I heard that the estimate of nano, you just made an estimate of nano enterprises and it's around 8 million. I'm just wondering what portion of that comprise of like similar to you or youth? Kasi, di ba, pagka medyo mas matanda sa atin, baka mas mahirap i-engage. So, I'm just wondering if you have taken into account that factor. Because maybe, di naman maybe, some of the nano enterprises would be older than you. So I am wondering how will you be able to communicate to them so you will be able to advance the programs that you're proposing.
As of the moment, we don't have the exact estimate of the age demographics between the 8 million, but that is definitely something we will look into. But we've definitely taken into account the generational gap between, of course, the target demographic and the frontliners in this case. With our approach to this proposal, we want to be able to catch up the institutions to the current demographic of more than about 50% mobile users. So that is the parameter that we're trying to work around. But definitely the age demographic is something important to consider, and we appreciate that that you brought that to our attention.
And just to add to what Eunice has shared, actually our program has a phase wherein BSP would be coordinating with the rural finance frontliners. So in that case, they'd be able to this rural finance frontliners, they all already have an established nano enterprise client base, and they have the capacity also to reach out to them. So of course, they have an idea of the context of this nano enterprises. And from that, we would be able to tweak or develop innovative solutions for both online and offline education.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Leah. Sergi is also raising his hand. Go ahead, Sergi.
Hello, good afternoon. Let me first of all congratulate you on a very well thought out presentation. My question refers to the usage of this TekNegosyo. I see from your example during your presentation that it's for trading, but have you also thought of possible applications for other sectors, like the agricultural sector, for example, some place where some of these sectors may not be located in urban areas where internet connections are strong, etc., etc. Have you thought of other applications apart from the trading activity?
Actually, hello. We also consider the offline marketing aspect of the TekNegosyo Hub. So for that, we would like to ask for the help of the rural-based finance frontliners in that case, so that course packets and other offline materials could be delivered to these sectors as well.
Yes. If I may add, we also would like to leverage, specific groups of cooperatives that attend to different sectors. So agricultural cooperatives could be something that we could leverage. And hopefully, of course, with the survey efforts that we mentioned in our proposal, we could tweak this and make this more targeted and have a more organized and comprehensive list of themes and sectors to know how we can move forward.
Just to add to what Eunice said, our generation has also experienced online education, and at times we have to take learning outside the web as well. Like we encounter internet difficulties as well. So we have an idea of how to circumvent these issues as well through downloadable course packets and other materials, audio materials, which can be accessed by these stakeholders even without internet connection.
If I may ask another question, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
It's regarding the role of the youth organizations in this particular program. They're a very vital link in bringing and perhaps educating the businesses that may be able to use all these digital technologies. Have you thought about what's in it for them? How do you push them to become more committed to delivering such a delivering information and perhaps skills to these entrepreneurs?
Mm-hmm. Well, if I may take on this question, I think this is actually a semi-personal question as a member of the youth, and as we ourselves have been inspired by this competition by BSP, we found that there are a number of students and people like us who would like to offer their services for developmental efforts. It's just that it's not as a readily available market or readily available institution compared to the corporate market. And so this is kind of our way as well to kind of advocate and kind of present to the esteemed board of judges that there is a large group, and as also represented by the number of registrations alone from this competition, 230 teams and 93 teams worked tirelessly to provide a policy. I think that is testament enough to the ongoing inspiration that our generation has in providing developmental efforts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Jay. Also a question from Attorney Charina De Vera. Go ahead, Attorney Cha.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon to the TekNegosyo team. I would just like to ask a question on the hub that you mentioned. So is this like an app where an application where the attendees, where the participants can just get the materials and help them out with the course packets and even assistance in getting financing from financial institutions?
Mm-hmm. Perhaps Marla or Ivan Bueno can answer this question.
TekNegosyo Hub is a website, but it has low mobile data usage, since we would really prioritize simplicity and the data usage of this website. And by the way, the course packets, they could be downloaded by the nano enterprise in the physical branches of their MFIs and co-ops as well. So if ever that they'd be needing help from the rural finance frontliners, they may seek help as well. And this is also a good chance for the rural finance frontliners in that case to get to know more about the registrants for the TekNegosyo Hub.
Okay, thanks for that. The reason I ask is because I wanted to know if you already made an initial assessment of the costing for this for the development of this website, and I also noted that you included a chatbot in this proposal. So have you made any like a market research or just an initial assessment of how much would this cost in case we roll this out, we roll out this product?
None that we have in our program proposal, but that is something I think we can easily get into, as our proposal is quite a bit loaded. So that is definitely an important part into
Yes.
understanding the rollout. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Shah. Do you have? Okay, we have a raised hand also. Miss Ellen Joy Suficiencia. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. I just also want to know if you considered the role of the DTI in this initiative. I don't know if you're aware of their Go Negosyo portal. Is it possible to just build on what they have already built?
RA, would you like to take on this question?
Oh yes, we have research about that, and we saw there's another program by the government, the Set Up and the Go Negosyo. But the difference of our proposal is that our proposal is mainly concerned or focusing on the nano enterprises part. So we are gonna build it from the roots up to the MSMEs.
We've also checked out the Go Negosyo website, and from what we can see, maybe this would take time to load in some areas with really bad mobile data connection. So we're opting for a more streamlined website with just a few tabs, and hopefully we could make it as simple as possible as well to cater to the older generations of nano entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. But we do recognize that these existing projects most probably have a plethora of information and knowledge that this program proposal can benefit from. So we're definitely open to considering and to see where DTI, or we definitely think DTI has a place in this program proposal.
If I may just add, I just wanted to highlight that a key part of our proposal is the youth engagement arm. And maybe if it's something that proves really fruitful in this proposal, it's a format that the DTI can also take on, or something we can integrate as we continue to gather data in the initial implementation phase.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, just an idea. Perhaps the youth engagement arm can also be attached to the DTI Negosyo Center, because they also provide business advisory services to their nano clients actually also. So you might want to consider that as another mechanism of cooperation.
Yes, we definitely we do like that idea. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Ma'am, just to add, so we also leverage on the youth creativity and wide array of skills. So while we may have the youth engagement catering to largely business, economics, finance, and development studies organizations and individuals, these this group of youth have a lot of experience as well in website development. A lot of them have different competencies with regards to creating content online and offline. So it would definitely be possible to onboard the youth as well, even in the website development proper.
Are there any more questions from our Board of Judges? All right, hearing none.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, can I just have a follow-up question?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, my question is that because there are really a lot of activities that you have envisioned, right, in your plan, do you have a specific groups of people in mind or teams that would actually, if needed, that can start work on it?
Sorry, can I clarify your question? You mean youth groups who would be
Right.
on
Part
board?
of, yes.
Mhm. This is not to say that we speak for these youth organizations, but there are numerous, as you know, as we are from students from Ateneo de Manila University, we do have alliances with other organizations across different universities, similar to our, our courses, actually in similar fields, and this is definitely a type of project that, in one way, shape, or form, that we have either initiated or taken a part of as an org project or as a thesis project and the like. So we definitely think that if this was something attached to a formal institution, a highly esteemed agency like BSP, we definitely see that there is a pull towards it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Leia. Any more questions? All right, so if there are no more questions from our BOJ, would like to thank finalist number 1. You may now switch off your video camera and you could now mute your microphones. Thank you. We'll now proceed with finalist number 2. Are you ready? Please start sharing your screen. Finalist number 2. Your slides, please.
Julissa, the slide, please.
Joel, who is supposed to share your slides, your PowerPoint presentation?
Julissa will be the one to share our slide po.
Okay, we'll also have our tech team ready just in case hindi makapag-share ang inyong teammate. We'll give you 30 seconds
Julissa?
to share your screen. Okay, we can see it now. Finalist number 2, are you ready? Please say yes.
Yes, we are
Yes,
ready.
ma'am.
Okay, timer ready. Finalist number 2, your time starts now.
Before we start, let me share you the story of Aling Talin, a 62-year-old Abaca farmer from Karamuran, Catanduanes, a mother to 5 children. Aling Talin is one of the 12,679 Abaca farmers in the province who are underserved, unreached, and do not have access to basic financing services, thereby resorting to informal microfinance groups with high interest rates. That entails high costs on their end, which supposedly should go to the farmers' tables. I'm just wondering why the agriculture sector, especially the abaca industry that gives so much more in our economic growth, are not given the support that they need. If farmers are the backbone of our society, then again, why are they not given the support that they need? Why? Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, Diyos mayad na hapon sa Indogabos. I am Joel Cooking, your presenter.
And Jinky Tapal, your co-presenter.
And we also have also with us our teammates, Jurisa Kate Zofe, Eunice Audrey Tendinilia, Andrew Balatero, and our coach is Mr. Ian V. Aranel, and we are from Catanduanes State University. This afternoon, we present you our proposal entitled Pagsupnit Towards Digital Financial Transformation of Abaca Farmers through 2021 and Beyond. Just in case you are wondering, Pagsupnit is a Bicol term which means the process of transforming abaca strips into fiber. This encapsulates the entirety of our proposal. because we want to transform our abaca farmers digitally and financially. So let us now begin with our problem statement. 87% of the world's total requirement in natural fiber is being produced by Catanduanes. That is why our province is tagged as the world's largest abaca producer. And in fact, we are declared as the abaca capital of the Philippines. However, despite the abaca industry's tremendous contribution to our local economic growth, our abaca farmers still face various financial challenges. They are still the most unbanked and underserved sector. Next slide, please. Imagine how damaging it is to the morale of our farmers, given the recent devastation of Super Typhoon Rolly, which made its first landfall in our province last November, where, according to the data, accumulated nearly 400 billion worth of losses. Take note, all this happened in the middle of pandemic or the global health crisis. While the recovery is underway, there is a need to ensure that both ends meet through optimizing the abaca industry's contribution to economic growth and post-pandemic recovery. Our program concept is anchored on the three-pronged approaches: the DigiKnow, the Digitech, and the DigiHub. However, it is less likely for our abaca farmers to embrace this digital innovation due to the fact that the data shows that only 3% or 45 out of 1,499 micro enterprises in our province adopt digital financial transactions. Banking on this or bridging on these gaps, we have proposed a project that has three-pronged approaches. The first one is the DigiKnow. It is a comprehensive and continuous digital financial literacy training workshop. Second is the Digitech. It is an all-inclusive mobile application with various significant features. And lastly, we have the DigiHub. It is a one-stop community electronic hub that will facilitate the interoperability of digital financing services primarily offered in our Digitech app for rural areas with low to no internet bandwidth and ICT equipment. To elaborate on this, Jinky, please.
Okay, so for the DigiKnow, this mindset overhaul will serve as the entry point toward financial digitalization of the abaca farmers as it zooms in on the digital and financial education being such importance for training before the introduction to the mobile application. Sample topics to be included are the likes of financial planning, debt management, and essentials of investing, to name some. Also, there will be distribution of printed modules, as well as continual update and monitoring to ensure maximization of knowledge. After the training proper, there will be the institutionalization of abaca farmers, wherein one of them will be selected to be trained as the human agent that will serve as the middleman between the farmers and the product dealers, as well as the supervisor and facilitator. It is important to have a solid foundation in learning and understanding because this is what will translate to change in behavior, thereby making them appreciate more the importance of the proposed mobile application. Next slide, please. So for the Digitech requires the creation of a digital mobile account that will take advantage of the Philippine ID system as it is being rolled out. It aims to bridge the access to almost all bank services offered with minimal to no documentation barriers, seamless and cost-efficient transactions. There are 11 unique features of the Digitech. First off is the product trading portal, which will ensure price equilibrium as there will be no more monopoly from big dealers. It allows the users to directly trade the abaca product with the most justifiable price available in the market. Also, this will properly compensate the abaca farmers for their hard work, which will enable them to grow their businesses and rise above the poverty line. For the credit trading system feature, it highlights the give and take of transparency and trust between users and creditors. As for the part of the users, striving for good credit score and maintaining it translates to more loan approvals and faster loan transactions with lower interest rates. For the cash flow management features, it serves as an easy tracker of money to properly monitor and manage finances, which shows real-time balance update and summary of all financial transactions using Digitech. So the reward system feature was included based on our personal experiences on grounds. We noticed that there is this preconceived negative attitude among the farmers in shifting to digital financial transactions, as some of them may perceive the application having its lack of utility. So, this point system will encourage the frequent usage of the mobile application and eliminate their questions, like they may ask, what's in it for me? Or what will I gain from using this application? Through this, we hope to encourage them in using the Digitech. So for the government subsidy feature, it offers one-stop information of government assistance programs, which are otherwise unknown or unfamiliar to the users. With the current pandemic situation at hand and the recent devastation of the super typhoon Rolly, it only emphasized the need for immediate government financial assistance to help MSEs get back on their feet.
Next feature would be the chatbot e-consult. The human agent will not be made available 24/7. So through this online help desk, it will answer queries from users, not limited to the how-tos of navigating the controls and features of the mobile app. Next feature, we have the automated SMS notification system. It will use SMS as an alert system available to users to inform them about the services being offered by our application. This includes reminders for due payment, trading opportunities, available loan programs, government subsidies, and updates on the application. Next, we have the pool of loan programs. There are so many loan programs that are being offered by the government, banks, and microfinance companies to lend out to our Abaca farmers digitally, but they are not just aware of it. Or if they are aware, they do not have the financial knowledge on how to access them. That is why through this Digitech app, Abaca farmers will be given a list of available loan programs. This will enable our farmers to evaluate and decide more favorable loan programs to avail. Likewise, with a pool of insurance programs, it would ensure protection of our Abaca farmers against calamities and other hazards, especially Catanduanes, which is being always at the forefront of of typhoons and calamities. This feature will offer information about necessary indemnity programs for losses in cases of natural calamities, plant pests, disease, and other perils. Next, we have the feedback mechanism. We grow with feedbacks. We grow with opinions. That is why through this app, users can comment and recommend on how to improve our services. Every completed transaction, the user can rate the application based on their satisfaction. The mobile app aims for an excellent customer experience and a user-friendly interface for banking practices. Lastly, we have the savings feature. Digitech will help bridge users to rural banks through partnership program for them to open savings account with minimal maintained balances because as we have observed, these Abaca farmers do not open their savings account because of high maintaining balances of banks. Necessary information about the savings account will be embedded to the digital app for monitoring and transparency purposes.
So for the theory of change, the country's current digital and financial landscape visibly excludes the micro enterprises, especially those located in rural areas, including the Abaca farmers. So in order for them to get by with their daily needs, most of them opt to resort to informal lenders, which offers easy access and grant of loans. However, high interest rates only exacerbate the burden of their daily living. In the desperate attempt to deal with the previous credit and meet basic needs, they will again resort to more informal lenders, which will eventually leave them stuck in a cycle of debt, with the costs greatly outweighing the benefits. If they can barely provide for the daily needs, how much more difficult will it be for them to secure their future through, let's say, savings or getting insured? So through this program, we envision access to digital financial ecosystem that will drastically improve the financial inclusion of micro enterprises, especially the Abaca farmers. This improvement will unlock various opportunities to avail capital and other financial resources that will support them in their daily living, maintaining capital and financing growth of their businesses, especially in this unprecedented time brought by the pandemic.
In order for us to not fall off the cliff, it is best to visualize where we are heading. That is why we have identified 9 indicators or metrics of success. We have the percentage of attendees of digital financial literacy training workshop as to the total number of Abaca farmers. Our second indicator is percentage of registered Abaca farmers for the Digitech mobile app as to total number of trainees. Our third indicator is the tons of Abaca produced Abaca products traded using the product trading portal. And our fourth indicator is the amount of approved loans using the mobile app. Next, we have the points accumulated using the reward scheme. Next, we have the number of queries received through the chatbot. Next, we have the at least satisfactory rating received through the feedback mechanism as the total number of transactions. And next, we have the amount of savings accumulated. And lastly, we have the number of transactions catered in the DigiHub.
So to summarize our program implementation, the inputs shown in the screen will ensure the viability of the Digitech as a whole.
In order to materialize these inputs and transform them into outcomes, the following are the process to be implemented.
So as for the outputs, we envision digitally and financially literate farmers that have easy access to basic bank services through Digitech.
Abaca industry, being one of the biggest contributors of the country's agricultural resources, emphasizes the need for them to be encouraged to avail digital approach in banking, trading, and credit transactions.
If only Aling Taling and the 12,679 Abaca farmers in the islands will be given the proper support that they deserve, then we can sustain economic growth in our province as well as the progress of the Abaca industry as a whole.
And we are assured that through this proposal, it will help us achieve that goal. Once again, this has been Joel Kukhin
and Jinky Tapel
towards digital financial transformation of Abaca farmers through 2021 and beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, finalist number 2. Shall now proceed to the Q&A portion. Do you have any question from our Board of Judges? As before, please raise your hand. Any question? MD Tony, would you have a question for finalist number 2?
Sure. Thank you again for this presentation and for identifying a very important agriculture sector. I was wondering, you've proposed a whole sort of set of interventions, but I'm trying to figure out whether this is really Abaca farmer specific, or if this can, for instance, be applied to coconut farmers or fishers. No? So I was hoping to ask that as a first question. What makes this a specific intervention for the Abaca farmers in particular, and not other farmers or other underserved communities?
We have chosen Abaca farmers first to be the beneficiary of this proposal because the Abaca industry in our island contributes largely and tremendously to our local economic growth. They are perceived to be the backbone of our provincial economy. So they just deserve to receive enough support both from the government and private institutions, especially in financial aspect, because if we start empowering them from the grassroots, it would ensure that our economy will be balanced and sustained in the long run.
And in terms of the solutions that you've provided through this proposal, which ones are specifically for Abaca farmers with your best knowledge of what Abaca farmers need versus other types of farmers? How do we differentiate, in other words, your intervention for Abaca farmers versus other farmers?
I think Jinky can answer this.
Um, I think po, the specific feature would be the product trading portal, which which we elaborated, wherein the farmers can trade the product at the best available price in the markets, as well as it also shows the different products that are being demanded in the public, which will make the abaca farmers to opt to shift to them to increase their income. Joal?
Thanks. One last question from me. You mentioned in your problem statement that this set of solutions is being proposed for. Sorry, I'm going to the slide. I'm just finding it. Sorry about that. Where is that statement? Proposed solution to problem. The DigiHub, no, on this slide. You say that this is a Digitech mobile application for rural areas with low to no internet connectivity. So I was thinking, is there sort of a special feature of this technology, of the solution, that will allow it to operate when there is low to no internet connectivity, or will it require some sort of connectivity for the farmers?
Jinky?
I think po, the DigiHub does not include any special connectivity because we envisioned it to be designated in targeted areas wherein the abaca farmers are congested in that place, because in this province po, the rural areas does not have internet connectivity, but in some places the connectivity is also Joal, please. Joal.
Sorry, is okay. So I guess what we might require is for the farmers to use DigiHub and the other solutions. They would I guess go to a nearby area where they can access. No? That's
Yes,
sort of what it would
Yes,
require
po.
also.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Sige. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
so
you, sir.
much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, MD Tony. I think earlier Attorney Leah raised her hand. Do you have a question to for finalist number 2?
Yeah, it's all right. I think Attorney Cha can go ahead. She's also raising her hand.
Thank you, Paul. We'll proceed with Attorney Cha. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so good afternoon. Congratulations to CSU presenters, no, for thinking about a very targeted beneficiary or sector, no, of your proposed program. Just a question on the did you know? So who are your targeted or primary partners for this phase of the program? Because this did you know, I think, is the capacity building, or it entails the financial literacy program. So who are your targeted or envisioned partners for this part?
The primary implementing agency for this proposal would be the local government unit in partnership and collaboration with the banking and microfinance institutions. So this would ensure interdepartment approach. For example, we can invite speakers to discuss the topic about financial literacy from the banking sector, and also we can also invite speaker from the Department of Information and Communications Technology to discuss the topic about digital literacy.
Okay, thank you for that. And the beneficiary of this program would be the abaca farmers, right?
Yes.
Would this include those who are workers, or they don't really have an abaca farm, but they work for these farmers, what we call the taga-hagot, or those who are doing the actual work, but they don't own the abaca plants or the farm. So will they be also included in this program? Because
Yes,
they are
yes.
also very vulnerable in terms of predatory lending or pricing, especially having access to the trading platform. That would really greatly benefit them.
Yes, of course. As long as they do a baka farmer, they will be beneficiary of this proposal po.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Cha. Attorney Leah, yes, go ahead po.
Una sa lahat, maraming salamat, Joal at saka Jinky. Yung tanong ko, yung sa DG Nova, yun ba yung onboarding mechanism nyo para dun sa mga farmers? Yun ba yung paraan para mag-access sila ng Digitech na app? Yun ba yung plano nyo?
Yes po, the Digino will serve as the entry point because we understand the need for training in financial and literacy because our farmers need to capacitate themselves before they can formally access to our mobile application.
So kasama ba sa plano nyong module yung introduce yung Digitech na app? Ganun ba yun?
Yes po, there will be printed modules for the convenience of our abaca farmers.
Tapos yung printed modules will be possibly be distributed in the DG Hub. Ganun yun?
Yes po. Yes po.
Salamat.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Attorney Leah. Do you have more questions from our Board of Judges? Follow-up question from Attorney Cha. Go ahead, ma'am. Then we'll proceed with Sir Jay.
Okay, sorry, just a follow-up question. This is on the DG Hub. Yes. So this DG Hub, this will be used by the farmers. No, parang ito yung for a specific barrio. They would each have a DG Hub. Is this the direction of your project?
Yes po.
Yes, because in the DG Hub, you mentioned like in the paper that the farmers will be able to have access. For example, kasi diba, in Catanduanes, some of them don't even have phones. They cannot afford to buy phones. And in some areas, there are really no even signal. No? So would the DG Hub be able to provide or give access to the farmers parang to use some phones or other gadgets which they can use to access the platform?
The DG Hub po, yes po. The DG Hub will bridge the availability of internet connectivity and the lack of smartphones from our abaca farmers. While the construction of cell sites is underway for that particular area, we can use this DG Hub as a station where our abaca farmers can access or can use different equipment available to them to access our mobile application.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Cha. Sir Jay, go ahead.
I think the Board of Judges have expressed earlier that this is a very specific stakeholder beneficiary for your proposal. And we do appreciate that it is something that you see in Catanduanes. But as the Board of Judges have also highlighted, this can be applicable to other agricultural sectors like coconut farmers or rice farmers and such. Do you have any policy recommendation as far as the BSP is concerned, or as the BSP can implement, that can apply to all other agricultural products producers and such, not only just abaca farmers, maybe coconut farmers? Is there anything that the BSP can implement, any policy perhaps, or how can the BSP help implement this program for you to make it a little more simple?
Doon po sir sa question, we don't have any problem po sa replicability ng proposed solution. So the Digitech only caters to the abaca farmers for now.
but we also envision it to be available to other sectors.
And to add to that po, it will not only focus on the abaca farmers because once this proposal became successful, our target is to open opportunities to the rest of agriculture sector.
So how do you think the BSP can help you in furthering this proposal of yours? What can the BSP contribute if we choose to implement this program?
Jinky?
I think po with the financial literacy education as well as the partnership with the banks, because we offer various features which caters like the insurance, the pool of loan programs, as well as the savings. I think the BSP will have a vital role in this digital.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Jay. Questions from other members of the Board of Judges? Okay, it seems wala na. Thank you very much. Finalist number 2.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much po.
Joyce is raising her hand.
I'm sorry po, hindi ko nakita. Go ahead, Miss Joyce, before we pause for a break.
Sorry. Yes, thank you for your presentation, and I appreciate that. I think you were able to capture some of yung mga major pain points talaga ng mga agri-workers. So that's good. Ang question ko lang siguro, I think this is related to Jay's point earlier. If not BSP, do you have any other agencies that you think will be able to support this program? And siguro isang tanong is, who will operate the platforms? Sino naisip nyo na mag-ooperate ng platform? Mag-maintain ng platform? Kasi I suppose meron din kailangan from time to time i-update yung mga data na andun. Sinong naisip natin? Salamat.
The beauty of this proposal is that it is a whole of a community approach. It is not only the concern of the LGU or the national government agencies, but it will seek partnership to non-government organizations, banks, and microfinance institutions and interdepartments. For example, the LGU can include this program to their local development plan. And once it is passed, it would ensure funding, and it would be easy for the monitoring and evaluation of this program once it is already implemented. Jinky, if you may add something.
None. I have nothing to add po.
Okay, one final call for questions mula sa Board of Judges. It seems wala na ring raised hand. Okay, thank you very much. Finalist number 2.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
At this point, we are going to pause for a health break. We'll see you again after 10 minutes.
Meron kaming friend. Curly ang name niya. Grade 9 kaming lahat. Actually, hindi naman namin friend nun eh. Kasi she's so different. Ang sipag kasi mag-ipon ni Girlie. Imbes na bumili ng notebook, yung tira-tirang pages sa lumang notebooks, pinagsasama niya. Pag may nakita siyang empty bottles, nadampot niya ang mga ito at binibenta. Nag-iipon din siya ng mga old newspapers para ibenta. On weekends, gumagawa siya ng ice candy para ibenta. In fairness, masarap. Minsan din, nagtitinda siya ng barbecue. Imbis na mag-shopping ng hip distressed jeans, she distresses old jeans niya. Ganda, te! Fashion design nga ang pinili niyang elective subject at yung mga fashions niya, binibenta niya. Kahit nga bayad sa tricycle, may diskarte. Imbis na pamasahe, 2 taling kangkong ang pinambabayad niya. Galing, di ba? One day, on her way home from school, naghulugan ng mga books niya.
Sorry, let me help you, Curly.
Kilala mo ako?
Oo naman. Sikat ka kaya. Okay ka lang ba?
Okay lang. Salamat ah.
Really, sige na.
Okay. Kilala mo rin ako?
Of course. Who doesn't know Girly?
Ang ganda ni Girlie, no? Thank you! Mula noon, naging friends na kami. Ginaya namin siya dahil ang galing-galing niyang dumiskarte. Idol! Hindi naman.
Along with the increase in digital financial transactions is an observed rise in cyber scams targeting e-payment users. Common scams are those that trick you to share personal information through phishing emails, smishing text messages, phishing voice calls, spoofed or fake websites, or SIM card upgrade by unauthorized telco agents. In most cases, the scammer pretends to be from a financial institution, a popular company, or telco, and asks for your account details, passwords, OTPs, and other personal information. The scammer then uses these data to access your account for fraudulent transactions. Other scams trick you to send money to accounts that seem valid for transactions that appear legitimate, such as online imposter scams, wherein an imposter pretends to be a relative, financial institution representative, potential employer, charity organization, or romantic partner to obtain your account details and personal information or request for monetary support. Bogus online sellers, on the other hand, are those who pretend to sell products and services that are not delivered after you have made the e-payment or money transfer. What to do if you get scammed? Keep calm and follow these steps. Document what happened. Save messages. Take screenshots. Keep transaction histories. Call your financial institution's hotline immediately. Provide complete information and share evidence of the incident. Document all communication with the financial institution. Get clarity on its proposed actions and timelines to address your concern. Allow time for the financial institution to review, investigate, and act on your concern. Many cyber scams require full investigation protocols to determine accountable parties and execute solutions. If your financial institution does not act on your concern, or you are unsatisfied with its action, escalate to the BSP. Its consumer assistance mechanism serves as second-level recourse for complaints about BSP-supervised financial institutions. Contact the BSP online buddy or bot on the BSP website or Facebook page or via text message, only after going through your financial institution's complaint handling process. You have the ultimate responsibility to safeguard your digital financial transactions. Protect yourself from cyber scams. Know and be wary of warning signs of the different kinds of scams. Engage only with entities registered or supervised by government agencies. Assess reviews from their past customers. Verify the legitimacy and security of websites, apps, or social media pages before making transactions. Never share your account and personal details with anyone. Do not post these information on social media. Use strong passwords and change them regularly. Use different passwords for different accounts. Activate multi-factor authentication in all your accounts. These include security questions, biometrics, MPINs, OTP, email, and security alerts. Follow your financial institution's security guidelines and safety reminders when making online transactions. Remember that your first recourse about a cyber scam or suspicious transaction is to inform your financial institution immediately. Let's do our part to keep our information safe. Let's keep working with the financial services industry so that we can safely and securely make financial transactions online. E-safety is everyone's responsibility.
And we're back to continue the virtual oral defense of our finalists number 3, 4, and 5. May we now have finalist number 3. If you're ready, you may now start sharing your screen. The presenters of finalist number 3, are you ready? Please say yes.
Sorry, my partner is trying to reconnect. So is it okay if she disconnected a bit right now, but she's trying to reconnect again?
It's okay. We'll wait for your teammate for 30 seconds maybe. Makakapag-reconnect na siya. Okay, she's here, I think. Okay, so finalist number 3, are you ready? Timer ready? Finalist number 3, your time starts now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ana Grillo from the University of Asia and the Pacific. Along with my groupmates Ashley Castillo, Carlo Cordovez, Gio Henson, and Aubrey Paliza, with our coach Ms. Jody Claire Ngo, we present to you ePeso, a USSD-based financial system. Looking at the Philippines, only 1 in 10 adults use smartphones for digital financial transactions. With a goal of financial inclusion and providing an efficient and safe digitization of payments by 2023, BSP then faces a predicament. Lack of awareness and trust, slow internet connection, and preference for bank or ATM transactions are the top cited obstacles. However, to address these in line with the Philippine environment's lack of conduciveness for digital transactions presents a causality dilemma. How will this work if agents need to first be widespread, but agents cannot be placed everywhere until the service is widespread? It is with this question that the group's proposed solution is the implementation of an unstructured supplementary service data or USSD system as an alternative to online payment applications. This system aims to increase digital transactions due to 3 primary reasons. First is less dependence on internet-enabled devices, second is ease of use, and third is inclusion of social classes C and D. Having a USSD system would take into account infrastructural gap, affordability, and consumer readiness. Given these, the system would be more useful to a wider range of users, thus making it easier to market to individuals as a system that is useful and necessary.
The Philippine problem simply amounts to cash remaining predominant in use. Why? BSP's 2019 Financial Inclusion Survey revealed that among the 69% of Philippine adults owning mobile phones, only 12% use them for financial transactions, as this is affected by locality, geography, and income. In short, not a lot of Filipinos use their smartphones for finance, and not all Filipinos even have a smartphone to begin with. Consequently, this status quo has given rise to much of our transactions relying on cash today, with remittances being a prime example for it. With this context, how do we then clear the gap between reality and our goal towards the country's digital financial inclusion? USSD is a feature built into the Global System for Mobile Communications Phones, or simply as we know them, GSM phones. It enables mobile phone users to use phone texting without the need for the internet when availing different services, including financial ones. Given this offline platform, the opportunity to integrate a financial system is very much possible. We envision this system as the e-peso. This USSD-based system will connect banks to consumers through MSMEs without the consumer's need for physical access to ADMs, bank branches, or the internet. ePeso allows them to store their money, pay off bills, and purchase items from various agents, which would even give micro enterprises more opportunities to grow further. To understand what we mean, Figure 2 illustrates the cash flows among banks, retailers, and consumers when it comes to conversions and payments. Essentially, through MSME retailers, individuals who use the ePeso platform will be able to convert their cash into digital money, and the actual cash that sources its way back to banks via the MSMEs who converted them. And the individual consumers would now be able to use their ePeso to pay off whatever liabilities they have through simply texting them away. While this sounds too good to be true, the model is far from untested.
Focusing on countries with a similar situation of having unreliable or expensive internet access, as well as plenty of feature phone users, our group turned to research on African countries such as Nigeria and Kenya. For Nigeria, their digital system was established through partnerships with major commercial banks and telecom operators. For instance, the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, along with other banks, launched mCash, a system that makes use of USSD to allow consumers to pay merchants easily. This system is connected to 19 banks, available on 4 telecom operators, and capable of integrating other institutions' USSD codes in their payment gateway. Regarding the success of Kenya, phone-based financial transactions started in the early 2000s. In 2007, Safaricom, Kenya's largest telecom provider, launched M-Pesa, a text-based system that allows individuals to send and store money. In 5 years, there were already 19.5 million mobile money users. In 2020, around 72% of the population, or 96% of households, had a mobile money account. The key difference between Kenya's implementation and that of other countries is that Kenya's system mainly makes use of individuals who have phones as its agents, thus allowing for the system spread even in remote rural areas. Translating these into the Philippines setting, one of the primary feats that must be accomplished is partnering with major commercial banks, such as BPI, China Bank, BDO, and Unibank. This is within an 8-month timeframe. Additionally, the Philippines should also have USSD banking services available on major telecom operators in the country, namely Globe and Smart. Given that in 5 years, mobile money users in Kenya grew to 44% in 2012 and rapidly increased to 72% in 2020, the Philippines should aim to accomplish a similar feat as seen in the figure before you. Apart from this, one can note that 11 years after the launch of M-Pesa, there were 40 times as many M-Pesa agents as there were ATM banks. The Philippines should aim to accomplish something similar with MSMEs as the proposed agents, given that these comprise the largest percentage of businesses in the Philippines.
Now, how do we then implement our project on the ground? We do this through 3 phases. Phase 1 of implementation establishes the USSD applications. These applications consist of services that customers wish to avail and may include services from third-party providers. Accordingly, banks, mobile network operators, third-party providers, and those who wish to provide a remote service must create corresponding applications whereby a specific service can be provided via USSD texting as outlined here. Ultimately, this process will end with a working USSD system ready to be connected to its various stakeholders.
During year 1 to 2 of implementation, phase 2 focuses on the awareness and adaptation of various stakeholders involved. First, BSP must make informative content that is tailored to the 3 groups of stakeholders in this system. For barangay officials, BSP can hold a month-long training to instruct them on how to educate eventual system users. It must also focus on making traditional materials that are easy to understand, such as through print media or even through the radio, to target those without internet access more effectively. Both MSME agents and commercial banks must also be screened, trained, and informed of the USSD system through this phase. Second, aside from BSP, awareness among consumers would ultimately be spearheaded by the barangays. From workshops to door pitches, officials along with the respective MSME representatives in the location should highlight the importance of both the new system and finance in general. This time may also be used to distribute cheap yet reliable feature phones to ensure that the locals have a means to access this system. Figure 4 shows the financial assumptions if the government were to purchase phones for 31% of the Luzon population, given that data only shows 69% phone usage rate. Last, government cash aid or ayuda may also be given through e-peso to encourage locals to use this system. While USSD aims to mitigate the hassle that comes with opening bank accounts, MSMEs would still need them. Hence, they must first secure USSD bank accounts and USSD conversion phones by the third stakeholder, partner banks. The company phones will be used to communicate to the bank how much the retailer has withdrawn or deposited via e-peso. Finally, MSME agents are crucial to the consumer's acceptance of the system as they can promote the system to them more directly. Being an agent will be attractive to MSMEs for 2 primary reasons. First is their ability to have a more lenient savings account and loans. The other is the income coming from the portion of the service fee dependent on the type of transaction.
Phase 3, projected to fall within year 2 to year 15, will focus on regulation. In phase 2, collaborative education about this new system will be an action point that is proactive and conducted among new and current users. These trainings will serve 2 purposes: to ensure the continuous adoption of the system and to take note of troubleshooting. As such, mitigating the risks associated with the usage of the system will also be tackled. Along with the addition of a required PIN to access one's account, ideal safety measures that will come about from this phase will range from legislation, system reprogramming, and user requirements aimed to increase security. Depending on how the initiative will result within its desired timeframe, three key contingencies were prepared as a response to 3 possible outcomes. If the project results in an overall usage rate that is greater than or equal to 70%, contingency 1 replicates the program within Visayas and Mindanao. This is ideal. On the other hand, resulting at a 60 to 70% buffer usage rate, contingency 2 translates to the project's eventual success if the timeframe were to be extended. To account for this, the subsequent plan is to continue expansions for a maximum of 1 year within Luzon to gauge if the ideal percentage can be achieved. In any case, contingency 2 will either result in contingency 1 or 3 measures. Speaking of which, contingency 3 is a response to the project's underperformance, as indicated by a usage rate of less than 60%. For this, the project would need to be reassessed. Would need to reassess its implementation, focusing on points of improvement or if the project is still feasible entirely. To end, rather than built to compete, this system is really meant to make the digital finance industry more conducive by bringing in more members from the disenfranchised sectors of the economy into the digital plane. Ultimately, all USSD users will at some point adopt other modes of digital banking in the private sector. Our goal is to financially include more Filipinos, and we believe that with our system, we can accomplish this. Thank you. Now, ready for your questions, clarification.
Thank you, finalist number 3. We now open the floor for the questions coming from our Board of Judges. Any questions po?
May I?
Go
Sorry, I have to
ahead, sir. Go
I'm
ahead.
supposed to raise my hand, so I'll do that first. Yeah. May I
Go
ask
ahead,
a
MD
question?
Tony.
Yeah. Thanks again for this project, this presentation, the proposal, looking at countries from around the world, etc. Appreciate all the work that went into this. My question is, you're I think proposing that we build system. Um, why would that be superior to, for instance, subsidizing existing players, such as PayMaya, GCash, etc., and all others? What's unique about this system that it's more efficient and effective to build your own versus to support existing platforms? Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Sir Lambino. If I may, Anna, I think I can answer this. Um, I think that's a really valid question on which to bring why create our own system rather than support the private existing ones, right? I think the value added that our system brings to the table is really in terms of how it's built. If we look into competitors or like existing players such as the models of Gcash or Paymaya, they really work on the basis of online transactions. The problem with online transactions is that they're internet heavy, they're data heavy, meaning that the learning curve for disenfranchised poor people to really get into the internet is there, and second, the availability of acquiring the services to these disenfranchised people is also pretty high. So the value added of the USSD system is that it bypasses or circumnavigates the whole need for an internet system. It connects individuals towards a digital system that does not require you to go to the internet, and actually can be connected already to your existing GSM phones, whether it be smartphones or analog phones. So yeah, I think that's the value added this system brings to the table. It really gives you the opportunity to use the system without the other the needs for internet and smartphones. Oh, did I answer your question, Sir Lambino?
Yeah, sorry, my mouse wasn't working well. Thanks. Sarah, I'll come back later if that's okay. The others maybe would like to ask questions first.
All right, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Other members of our Board of Judges, do you have any questions for finalist number 3? Go ahead, Attorney Leia.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your presentation. I'm quite amazed, actually. Parang ang babata niyo masyado to come up with such a proposal. Thank you. You did mention the experiences from the other jurisdictions. There is a mention of e-money. So I'm wondering whether this is actually e-money, but you're going to use a non-smartphone for this purpose. Tama ba yun? You're on mute. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. Hello. Ano, I'm gonna answer it again. Sorry. Just to clarify po, the question you're asking if we're gonna be using analog phones po?
Oh, the question is, tama ba? Is my observation correct that this is essentially e-money, but instead of using a smartphone, an analog phone is being used?
Yes po. It's converting, just like the models of Gcash. It's like Gcash and Paymaya, but using your GSM phones po. So text.
Yeah. Right. Previously, I know you're all young, quite young, but several years ago or probably a decade ago, smart money operates that way.
Yeah.
You don't really need a smartphone. Actually, presently, there is still smart money in that you just use a regular analog phone to be able to transfer money. Is that the same? Have you studied that in relation to your proposal?
I think to make our argument different from them is that we looked into using MSME as our agents. So it's good to note that 99.5% of businesses in the Philippines are MSMEs, and we want to tap into this types of businesses to also help them expand their businesses, because it's also proven that if these businesses have an access to perhaps loans, since they would be the ones creating their bank accounts, when these types of businesses have access to financial banks and accounts, it would actually help them to grow bigger. And it's also good to note that out of the 69% mobile phone users in the Philippines, this doesn't necessarily mean that all of them have access to applications. So some of these phones, around 30 to 35%, are actually feature phones. And this is actually one of the reasons wherein the reason behind not being able to use like these health applications to track COVID. This is one of the primary reasons why we couldn't establish the system. So given that, we think that it's important to note that there's an importance of including those who don't have access to these.
Right, but this would require an e-money issuer that will be an agent whose agents are MSMEs. Is that correct? Is that how the process will work? Because essentially, it will be issuance of e-money, and for that e-money to be accessed, it will be the MSME that will have access, that will be an account holder of the e-money. Is that how it works?
Specifically in terms of how the MSMEs play into the system, it's really just the gateway for these banks who are the sole converters of the e-money to GCash, sorry, to e-peso really play about. So really MSMEs are there just to help widen the reach of these banks in order for them to be able to convert their actual cash into e-peso. So I guess on the ground, it looks like I come into the store, into the retailer store of an MSME. I have 100 pesos I have 100 pesos in cash. I want to change that. I want to convert that 100 pesos to e-peso. So that's really the role that we believe the MSME can play about in this system. It's really just to convert it for them so that they have digital money already. So yeah. So in terms of account holders, it's still mainly in terms of the banks.
Okay, so the MSME will be connected to a bank or to an e-money issuer, and they will be converting the cash into digital money on behalf of the bank or EMI. That's how it's going to work. Okay, so it's really, as mentioned earlier, it will be creating an entirely new ecosystem, right? So you will have merchants and you will have banks that will have to participate in that ecosystem. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Attorney Leia. Go ahead, Ms. Joyce.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to the presenters. Very interesting, and thank you for sharing what Mcash has done for Nigeria. Very interesting, actually, yung model ng Mcash, and I believe it's not really a wallet in itself, but as you mentioned earlier, a gateway, diba? So I think for analogy, parang this is similar to the InstaPay. So you don't really open an Mcash wallet, but that Mcash facilitates parang fund transfer between accounts. But instead of using the mobile app, it just uses a text-based instruction. And the key to the success of that is the participation, of course, of banks that will participate in the fund transfer scheme. So, inisip ko lang, how do you, and maybe, baka of course, may participation dito yung telcos, di ba? Kasi this will run on their platform and network and infrastructure. You think this model can work in the Philippines, considering our networks, our telcos have their own wallets na. So, baka makannibalize yung mga existing nila like Globe for GCash, Mart for Paymaya. So, maganda kasi sa Nigeria, but they may have a different context and market structure. Parang ganun. So, happy to hear your thoughts on this.
I'll answer it, Lala. I'm sorry. But thank you for that question from Miss Ellen. So an important part of our presentation that we want to bring back to answer this question is really the ending part. We want to highlight that although this system is brand new, we really envision it not to compete with GCash or Paymaya. Really, the goal of a USSD system is to transition disenfranchised individuals who know nothing about the internet, or at least know little about them, into a digital plane already. So I guess the main difference and why we don't, rather by making this system, we still don't compete with them, is that the USSD system itself is really limited in terms of what it can do. Although it can give us an opportunity to create digital savings account, it won't give us the opportunity, just like GCash, to avail of loans, avail on investments and whatnot. So the financial capabilities of although it's capable to integrate, we want to maintain the really limiting the USSD system into being a point of entry for people to get into the private digital banks, right? So I guess that's really the reason why we think at the end of the day, so when you have your USSD account, it's easy, it's more easy for you to transition into the online digital banks already, rather than having you be there just with your cash in your pants and just, not knowing anything about the internet. Did I answer your question, Miss Ellen?
Yeah, thank you. Kasi yung ano niya, the Mcash works if the merchants and the users already have a bank account, right? But what makes it powerful for digital payment promotion is it makes it easy for merchants and gives the merchants parang incentive to open bank accounts, because they know they will have more clients who can use digital payments, even those without a mobile app. So I guess that one. So actually, I think yung BSP and the payments industry will have a key role here. Medyo industry-led to na initiative. And if it's industry-led, medyo syempre pag-convene mo ng mga competitors, di ba? But this is aligned with our co-opetition framework under the NRPS. But siguro, sorry kasi medyo technical yung mga question, Attorney Leia. Pero parang this will be either a directive, a payment systems directive of the BSP for the industry, the PPMI to develop this service. Kasi parang may layer ka dito, may service layer that can sit on top of parang it's a different ACH, Attorney Leia. Parang ganun yung idea. So anyway, but this is really a good idea. I think it's something that BSP should really consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. Go ahead, Sir Jay.
Hi, it's a very interesting presentation. Thank you very much for that. I'm looking at your proposal brief now, and in the problem statement, it makes mention that it is a chicken and egg problem, in the sense that this will have more buy-in if you have more MSMEs and banks on board into the system. But how do you start? How do you get away from that chicken and egg vicious cycle? I mean, where does it start, and how do you avoid that problem?
Okay, never mind.
To answer that, Sir Amato, I think that the fact we touch. Sorry. Okay, I think the fact that we are going to make use of these MSME retailers would actually solve that chicken and egg problem, because these retailers would be our agents already, and as we mentioned in the beginning, that these retailers are around 99.5% of of registered businesses in the Philippines. So these agents are already widespread. It's just about getting these consumers to join into the system. And when they see the perks or the benefits of this system, we think that they would be able to join.
Okay, if I might have a follow-up to that, how do you get buy-in from those retailers then? Is there a marketing plan of some sort, or get general give us a general idea of how do you plan to get them on board?
Okay, I can answer that also, sir. We mentioned in phase 2 of our plan. Okay, as mentioned in our phase 2 of our plan, we wanted to touch into the barangay officials because, as we know, Filipinos are a tight-knit community, and most probably these people are already living in these barangays for around maybe 10 years, or they've inherited these houses from their ancestors and such that road of thinking. So what we're thinking is that these kagawads of the barangays are actually getting they've already had or established influence within their place. So by tapping into these kagawads that the people there trust, and by letting them go door to door and distribute possibly like traditional materials such as flyers, and we saw that BSP even makes like comic strips. So we think that we can turn these out and maybe put this in the local language for them to understand better. So aside from just putting all of this information online, we want to make this physical to be able to distribute it to these people better.
One more follow-up.
Was I able to answer?
Go ahead, Gia.
Okay, thank you. If I may add to what Anna's saying, so there essentially the question is, how do we get people on board into the system, right? We built the system. How do we get people into it? So in terms of the MSMEs, how we plan to get the MSMEs is really focusing on what Anna mentioned a while ago. Actually, the advantages of helping the system itself. So this advantage comes specifically in terms of having more lenient saving accounts and loans, and second is really the income that they can make out of transactions of converting cash into e-peso. So one, that's for the incentives for the MSMEs. And in terms of the consumers themselves into getting into the system, we think that precisely the initiatives Anna mentioned just now on how in terms of marketing and whatnot, in terms of the importance of finance, and really highlighting how with our system, you can acquire better systems in the future and really come in. So it's really just making it easier for people to come into the industry already. So I think those are the two main, the value added that this project will give in terms of marketing.
So,
thanks, sir.
Correct me if I'm wrong. My idea is, well, Anna mentioned earlier about the barangay kagawad. So basically, you want to look at the sari-sari stores in the barangay areas. So they might have to go to the municipal center to open a bank account, perhaps, or go to the city, the capital of the province, to open a bank account. But after that, it becomes smooth sailing, I suppose. That's the idea, right? Okay. Thank you very much, Gio. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sir Jay. Do you have other questions from the members or Board of Judges? Yes, MD Tony, go ahead po.
Yeah, thanks. So I've been trying to wrap my head around this. It's almost like you're offering a basic online account, but that can be accessed through SMS, right? Basic because fewer types of transactions can be carried out. And basic because it uses lower technology than what is currently available through smartphones. No? And for some users, that's all they want, diba? That's all they need, and that's what will attract them. There are certain conveniences that if people get used to it, they might be willing to pay for, over time. So I understand the psychology. Sometimes it's overwhelming also to have all of these services available. However, I'll repeat my question earlier, maybe just rephrase it a little bit, because you already have players in the system offering the high tech. Why not subsidize or provide incentives for them to provide a limited set of services, but also offer an SMS, I guess, an SMS contact or a connection point, no? Or access point to the system. Why do I say this? It's because eventually, as you're kasi I think also working within the limitations of 2021, where we are today. Connectivity will improve over time, right? So over time, you might be able to graduate some of these users into more sophisticated systems. But if you build a whole system that only revolves around GSM and SMS, then it's very hard to get them to migrate, or you might make yourself quite what's the word when technology is obsolete. There you go. That's the word. You might make yourself obsolete as connectivity improves, even in far-flung areas. No? And that's going to happen within at least my lifetime, certainly within yours. So, why not just work with existing players for them to create maybe yun na nga, lower tech access points to existing systems as opposed to building something from the ground up. And I don't know if did you have an estimate of how much it would cost to build the system? Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that loaded question. If I may dissect the question into two parts, it's really one, why not rely on the private sector, and the second one is in terms of cost. Okay, to answer the first question, caveat, we're not necessarily saying that the alternative you're presenting, sir, is one that we're not willing to open to. Incentivizing the private sector into providing the service instead of the public sector getting into the service itself is really a good opportunity for us to venture into as well. However, what we want, the reason why we wanted to focus on a public system for USSD rather than incentivizing the private system is really in terms of how much work it goes into integrating these connections together. As we mentioned, I think earlier in this presentation, a lot of connections come into play in terms of the banks themselves, in terms of the telecommunication aspect of it, the telecom operators, and third, in terms of the barangays and MSMEs, actually, as a fourth as well. It's just that in terms of how much work that needs to be put into place, we think it's less of, it creates more of a barrier for private sectors to get into the system because of how much work they need to place into it. However, if GCash or Paymaya, for instance, really want to invest into the system, then it's surely it's a paradigm we're willing to get into. But as of the moment, they're really it's just in terms of the work, and we think that the private sector isn't really willing to put so much effort into it as we are. Ironically, I think I get your point. Ironically, I think I get your point also, sir. That the irony of the project is that its goal is to die out at some point. The project's goal is to at some point be gone, and sometime in the future, all the private sector has already achieved this, and that's really what we want to happen as well, sir. We want the project really, ideally, it's not supposed to be in the next 30 years or 50 years. It's completely gone, and the precise future that you're recommending, sir, is already into play. So that's really what we want to happen. Maybe GCash or Paymaya recognizes the system and then get into it through us proving the model for them. So second, in terms of the costing, sure, we use in terms of the costing and setting up the applications, we use examples like Airtel and Safaricom in terms of how much it costs them to set up their applications. What's really great about the system is that it's very low cost. Specifically in Airtel, in Kenya specifically, it cost them around 116,000 Kenyan shillings. So in terms of converting that to peso, that really amounts to 50,000 pesos, around 50,000 pesos. And that's per application. So given that model, we think that it's something that's really, really one, lucrative for BSP or any institution that's willing to get into it, because one, you don't really need a lot of money to invest in it. And second, it's something that's that we think will be a really good investment, since it's something that's really supposed to transition public usage to private usage as well. Sorry, did I answer your question, Sir Lambino, or are you? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry I missed that. No, I guess it's in the full paper. 50,000 per application.
Yes.
And what is an application in this context? What is one application?
One application is really in terms of the service a USSD SSD service USSD system really avails. So for instance, an application would be a bank account. A bank account is an example of an application, but another example of an application is really one in terms of paying off your water bills. That's another application in that sense. So yes, sir.
Okay, and then maintenance costs or operational or OPEX.
Right. OPEX costs around in terms of another example. Airtel again. It's around converting it to peso. It's around 20,000 pesos. Around that pricing range when converted to Philippine peso. But yeah, that's essentially it.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, MD Tony. Do you have other questions from the members of our Board of Judges? Yes, Ma'am Edita, go ahead.
Good afternoon, and thank you for that very interesting discussion. So, following the discussion on the cost, may I know if you've looked at the cost per transaction in the countries that you cited? Will it be lower than the cost of using internet-based payment platforms? Thank you.
All right. I think I can answer that as well. So in terms of the specific cost per usage, Ms. Editha, we really have to admit that we didn't get into the specific cost of per usage and creating a comparative between that and in terms of using GCash per transaction, right? However, despite not having the specific data in terms of the peso value, we think in terms of the other costs associated when comparing a USSD system with an internet-based system is a good place to start when answering this question. In terms of how we start with the USSD system, all you really need is an analog phone. Once an analog phone is there, once you have it, you really just can get into the system and really get into convert your money into digital money already. Whereas compared to internet-based systems like GCash or PayMaya, not only do you need a smartphone, you also need the access to the internet. And second, you also need a means for you to convert your actual cash, because assuming these people do not have bank accounts, they can't really bank connect. So they have to go to ride to the mall or whatnot to convert their cashes. So I guess while I can't give you a specific number at this time, Miss Editha, this is the best we can really arrive to in terms of logical conclusions. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm seeing a raised hand from MD Tony, unless ito po yung kanina na hindi lang na lower, MD Tony.
Sorry. That's
Go ahead, sir. Okay.
Sorry.
No follow-up question. Tama po ba? No more follow-up question from MD Tony. Thank you, sir. Okay, so since we're not seeing any raised hands, okay, one more question from Attorney Leah. Go ahead, ma'am.
Actually, it's not a question, it's just an observation. Yung sa cost kasi na nabanggit mo kanina, Gio, magiging minimal yung cost with respect to the consumer, to the buyer, diba? Pero kasi yung cost na yon napapassed on siya to the other participants. So ngayon naman, ang kailangan magkaroon ng system in order to be able to provide that access to the buyer of the merchant. It will now be the merchant that needs to shell out money to be able to have access to that system. So while so you can you should be able to view cost from different perspectives. So in order to build that system, diba, bottom up, there will be sets of costs that will be assumed by each of the participants in the system. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leia.
Thank you very much, Attorney Leia. So I think that would be the last question. We're not seeing any raised hands sa ating chat, sa ating participants list. Okay, thank you very much. Finalist number 3. You may now switch off your cameras. We shall now proceed with finalist number 4. Finalist number 4, you may start sharing your screen. Finalist number 4, are you ready? Please say yes. Switch
Yes,
on your
ma'am.
microphones. All
Yes,
right, thank you very much. Timer, please be ready. Finalist number 4, your time starts now.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We proudly present this year's entry to the 2021 BSP Youth Summit Student Competition. Palang QRPH, breaking the barriers to digital payment system, starting from local public markets. A program with concept that promotes the use of digital payments in all local public markets in all cities and municipalities in the Philippines. Nevertheless, before we present to you our proposal, let us introduce ourselves. I am Martin Rafael B. Torres, BA Sociology from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños.
And I am Paulo Angela Nicomedes, a BS Agriculture student from UPLB as well. As everyone is prioritizing their health, many businesses have shifted to the work from home setup. However, local public markets or palenques do not have the option to adapt to this change. Aside from this, transactions in the public markets are still reliant on cash, having a high volume of transactions but with small value of payments. These same hands that are used for payments are also the same hands that prepare and give us our goods. With people being more cautious with health standards in their daily activities, digital payments have paved the way for this to be less of an issue. Additionally, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas would like to bring themselves closer to the Filipino people. With this, how can the BSP assist the local public markets in the shift to the digital payments?
So, why did we choose the local public markets as our area of interest? Well, we highly regard and consider the BSP's aims to bring the institution closer to the Filipino people. Thus, targeting the grassroots and their use of mobile electronic devices will be a strategic approach. Moreover, through local markets, a ripple or domino effect could spur. But how?
According to the Better Than Cash Alliance in 2015, there are three substantial stages in the shift toward electronic payments. These are when both players in the economy, like the government or large employers, decide to pay electronically, while the second shift is when recipients can spend their or transfer money electronically. The third shift happens when the majority of small payments, which are usually between people and merchants, for everyday items like groceries, also become electronic. Therefore, starting from the public markets is a pivotal and holistic shift into digital payments. This results in the financial services being more convenient for consumers because of its widespread availability.
BSP's vision is to convert 50% of all transactions to digital by 2023. With this in mind, allow me to present the Palang QRPH Caravan, a nationwide initiative that will move from municipalities and cities to assist and onboard merchants in the wet and dry public markets in making QRPH codes available as a payment option. Different operators of e-money payment systems will also have the opportunity to assist local public market merchants through free registration assistance, free QR code printing, and a free orientation on how to use their digital services.
So why QRPH? One of BSP's initiatives in strengthening and transforming digital financial inclusion in the Philippines is the use of QRPH. According to Governor Benjamin Jokno of the BSP, this will make digital payments more accessible to MSMEs in the Philippines. Launched in November 2019, this ongoing initiative is easy to use. We especially for public markets. It only requires little internet or data consumption, and it is very easy to be implemented by vendors. With the quick scan, users don't have to type any account details that may lead to input errors. Moreover, use of QR is interoperable, as end users can transfer funds from their own account to any transaction account of a BSP supervised financial institution. So as you can see, this initiative is beneficial not only to large businesses, but especially to small, unbanked palengke vendors who primarily cater to low value and high volume transactions.
By implementing QRPH, we attempt to break the barriers to digital payment systems. 45% of Filipino people lack enough money to start or own an account. 27% lack the need of one, and 26% lack documents to open. Furthermore, data shows that 69% of adults own a mobile phone, but only 12% of them use it for financial transactions. This shows the need to educate people on the importance of financial literacy and promote the use of technology for financial inclusion.
Keeping in mind that we aim for an innovative escape from the traditional financial transactions, the Paleng QRPH will capitalize on the use of QRPH and is deemed to inherently lead to a nationwide digital transformation of urban and especially rural communities. The program shall ensure the following within the period of its implementation: empowerment and digitalization of microenterprises. Through this initiative, we could provide an equal and supported chance for all to meddle in the growing technological advancement of the market. Second is to increase the access to digital financial services. Through the digitalization of payment systems, merchants will now have easier access to financial services and products, especially those being offered in digital platforms. And lastly, public health and safety. Since the pandemic posed health risks, the Paleng QRPH offers a safer, faster, and more convenient way of paying for goods.
So, how do we plan to make everything happen? First of all, there will be a partnership and communication with electronic money institutions offering QRPH, like GCash and Paymaya, for example. These existing electronic money operators who utilize the BSP's QR code standard will be offered to participate in this nationwide caravan. Next, we will coordinate with local government units and association of market vendors to ensure their maximum participation. To start this off, we've consulted with PACIL Mayor Vin Soriano of Laguna, who has agreed that this initiative will be of good help to their municipality's digital transformation. If ever this proposal pushes through, lastly, the caravan proper, where e-money operators will be providing customized QRPH code printouts and orienting the merchants on how to use the digital payment platform for easier transactions in the future. The BSP will also deploy staff who will inform and educate the merchants on the importance and benefits of having this formal financial service and how it can improve their business model.
So for the strategic communication plan, we aim to gain support, create partnership, and provide stakeholders with information related to Paleng QRPH. Moreover, the implementation will include a series of activities that follow a timeline which can be seen in the Gantt chart and table showing each activity's projected year of implementation. For the year 2021, the planning phase will involve formulation of program specifics and implementing guidelines. The following year will involve hiring and forming a team composed of professionals from the field, proper coordination with electronic money issuers or EMIs, proper strategizing with local government units for implementation, trial of the program at the municipalities of Pakil and Cabuyao at the province of Laguna, and adjustments and revisions of program plan from the identified points of improvement from the pilot test. Lastly, the full implementation is expected to roll out in 2022 and 2023. So presented before you is the initial awareness campaign materials designed by the team. Banners promoting awareness and availability of digital payments in local public markets. And posters of the Paleng QRPH will also be put up during the caravan proper.
With the program's full implementation, it is expected that at least 30% or 490 of the LGUs will be willing to participate and adopt the program into their respective public markets. This is related to the BSP's vision of converting 50% of all transactions to digital by 2023. More so, more than 50% or majority of the public market vendors in the areas visited by the caravan are expected to display, utilize, and advertise the use of QRPH in receiving payments in the respective stores. Throughout the initial implementation, consumer retention must be ensured with an increasing rate of users. Retainment must be measured by public trust in the payment system, great user experience, proper information dissemination, and fast system performance.
So considering that the QRPH is currently on the roll and has already been employed by a large number of businesses, the cost of implementation of the program will only require minimal funding, which could be shouldered by both the partner LGU and the BSP. Since the program is in line with the BSP's digital transformation roadmap, some activities could be linked to the institution's other programs, such as the financial inclusion forums for target industries and worker groups. The cost for the whole program shall be, but not limited to, 20,000 pesos per LGU. Budget will be only used for the caravan expenses such as publicity, logistics, and other basic expenses. Also, the costs of QRPH tags for the merchants will be shouldered by the partner EMIs, since this will also be serving as a promotional material for their business.
With that all being said, allow me to introduce Team UP Los Baños, the group who believes that Paleng QRPH will be truly pivotal in our fast transforming digital economy. Mr. Oliver Kyle Montesor is a senior BS Development Communication student and the current president of the Upsilon Sigma Phi. The strategic communication of the program will be his main responsibility for the project. Mr. Paulo Angelo Nicomedes and Raymar Angelo Cabatu are BS Agriculture students who are founding members of the Association of Agriculture Students of the Philippines, where they serve as the president and vice president respectively. Paulo and Raymar will ensure that the needs of our food providers are heard and properly met. Mr. Harper Luis De Leon is an applied mathematics student and is currently managing a creative agency that assists businesses in their digital transformation. Harper will be on the lookout for the proper logistics of the caravan rollout. And yours truly, Martin Rafael Torres, a junior BA Sociology student who currently serves as the president of the UPLB Sociology Society. Studying and analyzing the interactions of the people in this context will be my focus. The team is also properly guided by their advisor, Joram Obsoma. He is currently a professor teaching economics and entrepreneurship in the University of the Philippines Rural High School.
Before we end our presentation, let us go back to our initial problem. How can Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas assist the local public markets in the shift to digital payments? The answer is Paleng QRPH, breaking the barriers to digital payment systems, starting from local public markets. Thank you. Our team is now ready for questions.
Thank you very much, finalist number 4. Any question from our Board of Judges? MD Tony, would you like to go first?
Thanks. Thanks for the presentation. Thanks for the proposal. And thanks for identifying a pretty important location for all of these services to sort of roll out more intensively into the future. I'm wondering, do you have sort of the top 3 to 5 reasons why QR payment technology is not yet prevalent in markets such as the ones that you're targeting for your project? I mean, QR codes are not new, diba? They've been around for a while. You see a lot of QR technology in the malls already, cafeterias, and some other community stores. No, meron na rin yung iba. Why in markets is this not happening yet?
Good afternoon, Mr. Lambino. I think QR codes are already available to some merchants, but the main reason why this isn't prevalent in most is that the lack of awareness in this technology, especially for those in the rural areas, as well as the lack of helping force. And this is where the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and the local government units help in making this more available.
Could you say that again? Sorry, I missed the word. I think it dropped out. What kind of reforms?
I think the most I think the reason why this isn't prevalent in most areas is because of the lack of awareness of the people, especially the rural areas, of this available technology, as well as the helping force that the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and the local government units would come in.
So I'm so sorry, I can't hear it very well. What reforms? You said lack of awareness, and the second is?
And the lack of helping force, sir.
Helping
force, sir, like some kind of assistance.
Okay, got it. Thanks. All right. Yeah. Would this this caravan focus then on getting merchants in these markets to open some sort of an account if they don't have one?
Yes, sir. We will be having the partner EMIs to register these specific merchants and even orient them on how this works.
Okay, and would you happen to have any data on why these merchants don't have accounts yet? I think that's sort of key, di ba? Pag wala silang account, it would require that they be onboarded. Versus if they had an account, all you need is really some sort of a QR identity, no, to their account. So yeah, I mean, did you go into the psychology behind perhaps not having any sort of transaction account, digital transaction account at this point?
The program proposal is based on the report for financial inclusion, where 69% own a mobile phone, but only 12% of them use it for financial transactions. So there are three reasons, like the lack of a need and the lack of money to open an account and the lack of documents. And these three are easily available through these digital payments.
So in your view, since you've given this a bit of thought now, which among those reasons would apply the most to marketplace vendors?
The lack for need one, sir, because most of them don't really, as like the third shift in the electronic payments, when this is widespread, when this is available in widespread, people would be needing it to cope up, and people would be more comfortable in using this.
And therefore, in your strategic communication plan, what would the main message be in order to be responsive to that barrier? Or can you think of anything now, for instance, that would do that?
For the strategic communication plan, we would first communicate with the LGUs and the Association of Market Vendors, so we could explain it more in depth to them, and therefore they would instruct or communicate with the market vendors themselves. And when we go there, we can communicate properly on how this can benefit not just their business, but their Sukis as well, on how these Sukis prioritize their health.
Okay. So pandemic, social distancing goals, medyo.
That's one of the reasons.
Health. You said health, diba? Tama?
Yes, sir. That's one. Yes, sir. That's one reason why we picked that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, MD Tony. Other members of the Board of Judges? Yes, Attorney Shah, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you to the Palang QR PH team. This is in relation to the pandemic goals or pandemic related. direction of your proposal, no? Which is in relation to taking care of the health, etc. So, how do you envision to launch this caravan? Kasi if we take into consideration the social distancing and the restrictions, mobility restrictions, do you envision this the rollout to be done like face to face or virtually? Because this is mostly parang ano, di ba, onboarding and awareness campaign. So, what would be the modes of this, of this caravan?
If I may answer that question, ma'am. Actually,
Right.
we envision this caravan as a face-to-face method. Actually, we have already contacted the municipality of Pakil, Mayor Vin Soriano. Um, he suggests that we could advertise, or we could advertise this program through their municipality information office. Then, especially, everything will abide to the health protocols. So if that's the case, if COVID-19 is the case, I think we will ensure that everything will be followed through the health protocols. Thank you.
And additionally, maybe on the during the planning, we can have a pre-registration through the coordination with the Association of Market Vendors, since they have the list of all the market vendors and merchants available. We can have it pre-registered for a smoother registration and transaction during the caravan proper.
Okay, thanks for that. The reason I also raised this is because we can also do the onboarding through EKYC, di ba, like GCash and PayMaya. You don't really need to be there physically present to register or to have an account. So these are maybe just options that you should look into, considering the pandemic, and also the technology is there where you can use virtual platform even for onboarding or opening of accounts. And I think this could also, possibly lower the cost for the conduct of these caravans. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Chat. Do you have other questions from the members of the Board of Judges? Yes, Ms. Joyce, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to the team sa magandang presentation. I like the idea na mag-partner to tap the LGUs as a pillar of this program, kasi crucial talaga sila in terms of convening your target market, no? Yung mga wet market vendors, and probably pwede nang isama din siguro yung tricycle drivers. Ang tanong ko siguro, would you have any suggestion on para may incentives for the LGUs to do this? Kasi of course they will say yes, but we know maraming competing priorities, di ba? Ano kayang magandang incentive for LGUs na to make this a priority initiative of the LGU, talagang magbigay ng resources for this initiative? Baka may idea kayo.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for that question. To answer that, actually, we are thinking if on the onboarding process of this project, maybe we could give them modules or provide trainings that can help them how to onboard peoples or vendors in the market itself. So basically, we are thinking that we can provide free training from the with the help of the BSP to onboard these people in the LGU. That's one, ma'am. Thank you. Did I answer your question, ma'am? Or maybe
Oo.
may
Yung,
may
I
part
guess yung ano, siguro, hindi yung onboarding to an account na, more on the onboarding an LGU to this initiative. Ano yung magiging incentive for them? Of course, we know, di ba, parang may natural incentive and ano, pero practically speaking, mga LGUs, syempre marami silang pinoproblema ngayon. This might be the least of their concerns, parang gano'n. So, kung meron ba tayong pwedeng maging incentive, may mga naisip ba kayong incentive to make sure na may mga LGUs talaga na makipag-partner dito, mag-provide ng resources, ganyan.
As of the moment now, we don't have a specific incentive, but we've discussed about the benefits that this can give to the specific local government units, such as number one, publicity. This can increase the government's credibility, as well as the public health, like safety, because as the local markets or the palengkes is ang dito lahat pupunta natin tao. This gives the people more trust to the government because of their actions and how they take care of the people.
Mag-work ba sa mga LGUs ang mga awards as incentive? Hindi naman, not necessarily financial monetary incentive, but siguro yung ganun, mga awards sa tingin niyo.
I am from Rizal, and our province is one of the number one competitive province in the Philippines, and I think they really take this seriously because this yes po.
To adapt onto that, ma'am. Actually, I think Dole has a competition within the LGUs, peso to be specific, wherein they give awards to the most efficient peso stall onto the LGU. So maybe we could adapt that, and the BSP could provide an awarding or a contest wherein the first LGU or the most efficient LGU, something like that, ma'am.
Thank you. Sa EMIs naman, sa mga financial service providers, ano yung parang naiisip yung onboarding incentive for this? Of course, aside sa possible, 'di ba, na merong opportunity for them to tap new clients, ganyan. Meron pa bang iba?
Actually, we're thinking of this we're not just partnering with electronic money institutions, we're considering partnering with other companies as well or other brands, because this can be a publicity opportunity for them. So this can also be income generating. I don't know if this is possible, but also an income generating for the Bangko Sentral de Pilipinas, because through the sponsorship, these brands can have more publicity since this is a nationwide caravan.
Thank you. Pero siguro hindi siya income generating activity for BSP, but I think yung na-mention mo na parang publicity points can work also. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. We have other questions. Yes, Attorney Leia, go ahead.
Ma'am, yung question ko, di ba meron ng buy-in yung Pakil at saka Kabuyaw? Curious lang ako kung ano yung sinabi nyo sa mayors ng Pakil at saka ng Kabuyaw. Bakit sila willing? Why are they willing to participate if in case this project is rolled out?
Ma'am, to answer that, thank you for that question. To answer that, ma'am, actually, I am an intern from the LG of Kabuyaw, and as we are doing this initiative, my supervisor is a director for Peso in Kabuyaw. So he has these initiatives that specifically we for to help the majority of the public markets or MSMEs. And um, thinking about this, we propose that we could provide QRPH to this market so that they can use it as well. So our talk is actually good about this, and he addressed it to the mayor of Cabuyao, Laguna, and uh, he said that the mayor's approves. So yun yung nangyari dun sa Cabuyao, ma'am.
Yung sa Pakil.
Um, actually, Mayor Vin Soriano is a graduate of UPLB as well, BA Sociology. And he also a member of the UPLB Sociology Society, where I am the president of that organization. I have contacted him to present this what do you call, to present this proposal. Then, well, basically we use the sociological perspective as a point, no, for this proposal to be enacted, no. I just discussed to him that people in rural areas like West Pakil have a tendency to have the essential will, or they will just act instinctively and not rationally, not as a rational will that being calculative, and the like. So we think that through this proposal, we could provide a kickstart, or um, we could not impede the inherent characteristics of the rural areas. So indeed, the rational will or behavior of being calculative is really observable in urban areas, pero siguro kailangan nating magkaroon ng isang activity or isang program na um, go with the flow or nagko-coincide sa characteristics na meron yung rural area. So, Mayor Vin Soriano agreed with this initiative na it will be a good help to the municipality's digital transformation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Leia. Final call po sa ating Board of Judges for any question. Okay, it seems wala na. All right. Kung wala na po, would like to thank finalist number 4.
Thank you, ma'am.
Switch off
Thank
your
you.
camera and mute your microphones. Thank you, and we are now down to our final presenter, finalist number 5. Finalist number 5, you may now start sharing your screen. Okay, are the presenters ready? Let me hear you say yes.
Yes.
Yes po.
Okay, thank you. Timer, please be ready. Finalist number 5, your time starts now.
For decades, we have been progressively advocating for financial literacy and inclusion. But with the advent of rapid technological progress, coupled with the unprecedented pandemic, it is now, more than ever, that we must shift to digital finance.
We're here to step up the game. To our highly esteemed Board of Judges, Screening Committee, organizers, co-policymakers, coaches, and to everyone here with us today, good afternoon. I am Jemar Loczon, and with me are Elaine Gosico and Jed Laborada. We are team from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and we introduce to you We Digitize as One, a multi-stakeholder approach for widespread adoption of digital financial services, a policy proposal that addresses the top barriers for our country's adoption of digital financial services, as observed in the BSP Financial Inclusion Survey of 2019.
In that survey, the barriers can be summarized into two vital gaps. First, lack of trust, which stems from the significant lack of information and the preference for traditional financial services. Second, our current market context still mainly accepts cash exclusively, which poses a big inconvenience to users of digital finance. To solve these, a multi-stakeholder strategy is vital. To be in line with BSP's 2023 vision, we first need to address the two streamlined gaps, which are trust and good convenience, as cited in the 2019 survey. A thorough analysis of the inclusion survey revealed that most Filipinos do not trust and adopt the digital financial services, mainly because they simply do not know about it. In fact, 3 out of 4 are uninformed about BSP's initiatives, and the majority are not aware of BDAs and cash agents. Furthermore, shifting digitally is deemed to be inconvenient due to lack of access points. As shown on the slide, the gaps identified are interconnected and cannot be mutually exclusive. Hence, solving one gap is definitely not enough to promote widespread adoption of digital financial services. As such, our approach is to simultaneously tap into the key stakeholders involved, the government agencies, private institutions, influencers, and of course, the students. They have the most impactful potential to address the interconnected systematic gaps mentioned.
As a simple visualization of our policy proposal, shown in your screens is the multi-stakeholder approach that will enable the country to adopt widespread use of digital financial services. As seen, simultaneously engaging key stakeholders is the key to success. To get a better understanding of our solution, let's follow the story of Maria. Maria is the daughter of a farmer living in Tanawan Leyte. She has a smartphone and is an active social media user, but she has never fully grasped the concept of holding money digitally. Growing up, her family always preferred holding cash. As such, digital finance is irrelevant to her context, which leads to the lack of information, a substantial factor in Maria's trust gap. To address this problem, we propose that BSP partners up again with the Department of Education to create an improved and more holistic academic curriculum for Maria. On your screen are the potential lesson guides that could be added. As seen, it addresses the points of hesitancies when it comes to using digital tools. For example, the added subject of safe online banking and customer protection rights in e-platform address Maria's lack of knowledge in safe digital finance. For students to create concrete and tangible actions, we bring to you the One Student, Two Unbank program, similar to DepEd Memorandum 165 series of 2013, where each student was required to plant at least 10 trees. This program aims to have a total of 3 persons, one being the student and two being the others. So the ultimate goal of this program is to spread financial inclusion and digital literacy. To further concretize the active participation of the students and their families, the BSP Student Excellence in Finance will be awarded to students who demonstrated excellence in financial literacy and digital finance and have applied such learnings to their community.
Moving on, let's take a look at Maritez's story. Marites grew up with the mindset that holding cash is the best way to handle money. As such, she has a negative attitude towards digital finance, which explains her fear of getting hacked and scammed, which are of the irreversible and rampant crimes in her generation. As observed, there is a trust gap between Marites and digital finance. To address this, the attitude of Marites must be overturned. Upon thorough analysis, the best shifting agents identified are the local government officials, especially the barangay officials who Marites trust and run to in times of need. The testimonies and experiences of these officials are the key to correct Marites' false assumptions and to boost her confidence in digital finance. As such, digitization of local government salaries that can be considered petty cash disbursements must be implemented so that these officials can accumulate positive experiences with e-platforms. This digitization program can further extend to job orders, SAPs, and other LGU disbursements. Through this, we address the trust gap present with Marites. Moving on to the convenience gap, take for example Andres, who doesn't actively use his e-wallet because the palenques in his area are still only accepting cash. Meanwhile, Virgie, who is a palenque vendor, is hesitant to accept QR code and other modes of payment because most of her customers still pay in cash anyway, and she cannot use e-money to pay for her own family's household expenses. The inaccessibility of e-payment options leads to the convenience gap present in our community. Thus, building on DILG's Digital Governance Awards, which rapidly sped up our country's digital transformation, the Gawad e-Kaunlaran awarding system addresses the convenience gap mentioned. The Gawad e-Kaunlaran Hunt is an annual hunt for LGUs that best implements BSP's goal of digital financial inclusion. Freedom is given to the LGUs to implement programs that target the different sectors in our society, depending on their relevance in the specific LGU, as shown on your screen. For example, currently, Cordova City and Makati City are already implementing citizen IDs with e-wallet capabilities. Baguio City is also currently in partnership with the fast-rising fintech company SquidPay for e-wallets. Other LGUs can implement these initiatives as well. Some suggestions, though, include having QR codes in local stores, incorporating telco-based financial services for areas without internet connectivity, and requiring evidence of a digital payment system for merchants when securing or renewing their business permit, as seen on the right side of your screens. So with this, solutions addressing the convenience gap are highlighted.
Aside from these programs, marketing and media activations will also be done. The marketing and media plan focuses on the message of making people 1. Register for an account in any digital bank or wallet provider, 2. On integrating digital as a habit, and lastly, encouraging the digital shift of LGUs and rural banks. Because people trust their local brick and mortar rural banks, it would be great if we'll try to expand the digital capabilities of these banks as well. Building on the current collaterals of BSP and our current branding, we are expanding to mass appeal channels like TikTok, SMS, radio, and TV programs with our centralized message. We digitize as one. Those marketing campaigns are targeted to disrupt the daily lives of normal Filipinos so that digital finance can be integrated in their mindset and actions. This addresses the trust gap present in the Filipino mass. Let's do a brief recap, shall we? Digital finance is irrelevant in the context of Maria, who is a student in the rural areas. To battle this lack of information, BSP will partner up with DepEd to implement changes in the academic curriculum, the One Student, Two Unbanked program, and the annual awarding of BSP Student Excellence in Finance. The goal of these programs is to empower Maria to apply and spark discourse about digital finance in her immediate household. On the other hand, Marites is doubtful with the safety of digital platforms. To overturn her trust gap, BSP will partner up with DILG to promote digitization among LGUs, with the ultimate goal of laying out credible and positive experiences with digital platforms. Finally, in the context of Andres and Virgie, their shifting point is the accessibility of digital financial services. The Gawad e-Kaunlaran Hunt is then implemented to incentivize and reward those that are progressively pushing for the convenience of digital financial services. The annual awarding of the program ensures the sustainable adoption of our country towards digital finance. All these are done with marketing activations to forge grassroots presence in all of our stakeholders. Marketing campaigns addressing both trust and convenience gap will make the shift to digital finance smoother and more inclusive.
In terms of implementation, on your screen is a timeline for the student development programs. Implementations will start immediately and will progress continuously. Throughout 2021 and 2022, the efforts are focused on preparing for the implementation of these programs. The full-on effects of the curriculum improvements, the One Student, Two Unbanked program, and the BSP Student Excellence Award on a national scale will be implemented by the school year 2022 to 2023. Meanwhile, for the other initiatives, the rollout will start this year. Programs in partnership with DILG will be promoted immediately to be able to successfully roll out the digitization of disbursements by the end of the year. The Gawad Ika-Unlaran Hunt will be launched immediately as well, so that LGUs can be awarded by the end of the year. Lastly, there will be heavy inclination to marketing and propagating our message of digitizing as one through awareness posts and webinars, which will be repeatedly launched to penetrate the public's mindset and attitude.
With our policy, it is estimated that 85% of graduating ABM students can comply to the One Student, Two Unbanked program. 90% of DepEd schools award BSP Student Excellence in Finance. 75% of LGUs place disbursements through e-platforms, and 25% of LGUs participate in the Gawad Ika-Unlaran Hunt by 2022. Overall, our proposal aids BSP in reaching all sectors of the Philippine society, ensuring a digital-minded populace and a digital future.
The story of Maria, who prefers using an alcansya, of Marites, who fears being hacked and being scammed, of Andres, whose marketplace only exclusively accepts cash, and of Virgie, whose customers still mainly use cash, resonate with the stories of the majority of the Filipino population. Because of the presence of trust and convenience gap, significant barriers hinder us from adapting to digital finance. Beyond financial literacy, if the whole Filipino community patronizes digital financial services, the financial and economical landscape of the Philippines will be strengthened, and the lives of every Filipino will be enriched. If we only digitize households or governments or merchants exclusively, it would be inconvenient for them. It is then imperative that sustainable and impactful change can only happen through a multi-stakeholder approach, simultaneously engaging key stakeholders who can implement grassroots changes is the only and best way to move towards a digitally and financially inclusive society. And so, with this, we say, ibangon ang ekonomiya, digital mo na. Once again, we are the team from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and we digitize as one. Thank you, and we are now ready for your questions.
Thank you, finalist number 5. We now open the floor for the questions coming from our Board of Judges. MD Tony, would you like to go first, sir?
No, I don't, but I'll do it.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, Jemar and Alain, did I get that correctly? Yeah, thanks for the presentation.
Yes, we also have Jed.
Sorry. Oh, and Jed. Jed. Yeah, hi, Jed. I like how positive the tone of this campaign is. It's very upbeat, no? Partly also because of the way you presented it, but also I think because the core of it is a very positive tone. I guess my question is, this looks like a nationwide campaign to me, you know, with multiple elements. Some of it is education policy, some of it is collaboration, others through mass media. What's your estimated campaign budget for this program?
Okay, Jed, can we go to the slide for the... Okay, we are presenting to you 3 options. We have the conservative approach, realistic approach, and an aggressive approach. So in the realistic approach, we will be incentivizing our Gawad Ika-Unlaran winners. So that takes up a bulk of our campaign. And we are also expressing our message through radio channels as well as SMS. So yeah, if we are on a conservative approach, we'll mainly focus on non-boosted social media platform campaigns, as well as webinars to our LGUs and rural banks, and SMS marketing through our partnership with NPC.
Okay, and as a follow-up to that, do we have, I'm not sure if you've done this, do you have an estimated number of conversions under each type of budget, the conservative, the realistic, and the aggressive? How many, I guess, units of behavior change are you aiming for under each level of budget?
Okay, if we are targeting for, let's discuss first on the aggressive approach. So this has a TV program, particularly in mass appeal platforms, as well as influencer marketing. So in this approach, we are convincing people to, one, create or register an account in a bank or an e-wallet, and two, make digital as a habit. So actually, it's a funnel. So with the aggressive approach, we are targeting at least 25% of the smartphone population of the Philippines to actually be digitally active, like making digital finance as a habit. Whereas if we are doing in the realistic approach, because of the lessened budget, perhaps we are targeting or actually converting around 10% of the population of the smartphone population. And meanwhile, for the conservative approach, um, yeah, with minimal spend and our strengthened curriculum, we're still expecting to convert at least 5 to 10% of the smartphone population as well.
Okay. So you're looking at some economies of scale, no? Because as the budget goes higher, your estimate is more than double. For instance, the number of conversions. Okay. You mentioned my last question for this round, if you don't mind, on the depth ed enhancement of the curriculum. Have you looked into, for instance, what it would take to get depth ed to approve the content? Because this would have to go to the central office, get approval from I don't know whom, and until it gets to the secretary, and then approved by the secretary, and then cascaded through the different, I guess, districts. No, have you given any thought, or have you looked at examples, past examples of those who have tried to do this, and what it took to get DepEd to adopt those enhancements?
First of all, we are building on what we did on previously with our partnership with BDO and DepEd last 2019 with I think around 50 lessons in in financial literacy. So basically, we're trying to replicate that thing, but now we're moving it to digital financial literacy lessons. So basically, I think that BSP currently have the capabilities to replicate this success and yeah, expanding it to digital DFS. Um, and yeah, regarding the process, we are aware that yes, it takes some time on developing the materials and then setting it up for approval, as well as for the implementation. Take for example the implementation of the K-12 program, wherein the DepEd would have regional or even municipal level trainings for incoming teachers. So yes, we have taken that into account as well, and we have taken that into our budget as well.
So yeah, on that, just on that point, no, take a look at the timeline again, because if I remember it correctly, it said like 2 months to develop the content and then roll out na kaagad, no? So baka you want to put a period for the approval process, the review and the approval process, because that usually takes a bit of time. Okay, sige, yun na muna from me.
Thanks for that suggestion.
Thank you, MD Tony. Do you have other questions from other members of the Board of Judges? I don't see any hand raised. Okay, final call. sa ating Board of Judges. Kung meron po kayong mga katanungan para sa ating finalist number 5, our last presenter. Okay, so it seems wala na. All right, so thank you very much. Finalist number 5.
Thank you so much as well, ma'am.
Thank you po.
Thank you. You may now turn off your
Thank
camera,
you.
mute your microphone. Okay, so before we let all the finalists go, we have some reminders for you. Key dates, important dates to remember. On July 7, we would ask you to submit the following: a 1-minute video recording that captures the abstract of your proposal and also one slide containing photos of team members and also with your coach. The deadline for that would be on July 7, 10 a.m. A shoot guide and templates will be provided by the BSP. Ms. Lizette Antonio will be in touch with you. So on July 7 and July 8, 12 noon, we'll have technical rehearsals. We'll also give you the details. We'll coordinate to you the details for those tech rehearsals. And on July 9 would be the announcement and awarding of winners during the virtual BSP Youth Summit. The invite and the link will be sent to you by our tech team. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with Ms. Lizette Antonio. You have her email na rin naman. Since you're in coordination, and also you could CC the other email, fned@bsp.gov.ph. And finally, bago natin pakawala ng ating mga finalists and presenters, may we call the chairman of the Board of Judges, MD Tony Lambino, for his final message.
Thank you, Didi Sara. I just wanted to first thank everybody for making this afternoon possible. It was really a privilege not to be with all of you and to watch all of the presentations. You know, it's really easy to just ask questions, but to prepare for that, to prepare to answer those questions, and to prepare the presentations and the submissions, to review them, you know, that takes a tremendous amount of work under pandemic conditions. So both to the teams from Ateneo de Manila University, Catanduanes State University, University of the Philippines Diliman, University of the Philippines Los Baños, and the University of Asia and the Pacific. Congratulations for reaping the rewards of all the hard work. Thank you also to all the organizers on the BSP side, the various offices and units that have been involved. I know that you've worked just as hard, at least, no, as the student teams that actually submitted their proposals. So congratulations also to you. Now, just let me share a little bit of reflection, if you don't mind, because that's what Director Mara asked me to do. And really anchor it on the word passion, right? You may know that the root word of passion is a Latin word, no? Pati, which is to suffer or to endure. And I thought it would be very applicable to what we just experienced this afternoon through the presentations of the teams. And there are three forms of the word passion, or three words that are anchored on the concept of passion. You know, the presentations themselves, doing this work both on the part of those who submitted and those who initially evaluated and organized this and will continue to organize, doing this under the conditions we find ourselves is extremely difficult. Even without pandemic conditions, it is very difficult to run competition at this scale. So that really demonstrates the passion already. The fact that we're doing it, that the T's are crossed, the I's are the I's are dotted. The presentations are well done. It looks like they've been reviewed several times. The oral presentations were very polished, practiced. That shows so much of how everyone involved cares And that caring is, is a is a a demonstration of a sense of passion, a feeling of passion. So that's really heartwarming to see. The second form of the word is dispassion. No, and some of the best reforms are not just born out of those strong feelings that demonstrate themselves through passion. It's also through the dispassion that goes into it. The design of the work, where you step back and you sort of bracket your feelings, and you think through your theory of change. Is this going to work? No matter how strongly I feel about it, is it designed well? No? Have you done your stakeholder analysis well and taken stock of why there might be buy-in, there might not be buy-in for your proposals? The computations that you made of costs and benefits, the scalability of the work and of the proposal. All of those considerations require a sense of dispassion, being able to separate the emotional component and look at it sort of with a clinical lens. And you have the toolkits and the skill sets. I'm speaking to both the organizers and to the student teams, in order to bring those to bear on these proposals. And so you've also demonstrated this passion, which is necessary for effective and successful reform. The third word that also has passion in there is compassion, to suffer with, to endure with. And it shows so clearly through your identification of was it Aling Teki or was it Aling Techi? No, I love how Aling Techi can be read as Aling Teki. No, representing nano businesses, the abaca farmers, the market vendors, Maria, Marites, Andres, and Virgie. All of the stakeholders you identified, who you are doing this for, was so obvious in the way you talked about your projects and the way you presented them. And congratulations for all of that, for the passion, for the dispassion, and for the compassion. What is all of this for from a macro perspective? Well, there is a very helpful long-term vision that was first crafted under the Aquino administration. We really owe the conceptualization of Ambition Natin 2040 to the work of NEDA under President Noynoy Aquino. Secretary R.C. Balisacan was at the head of NEDA then, and they did a lot of research. They interviewed 10,000 Filipinos. I'm sorry, they surveyed 10,000 Filipinos. They ran more than 40 focus groups with the basic sectors, and they asked the Filipino, what do you want for yourself and for your family? And that's how Ambition Natin 2040 was crafted. And it was turned over to the Duterte administration, and through Executive Order number 5 was actually adopted as the official vision, long-term vision for the country. So you see this as sort of a collaborative work across administrations. But again, it was first crafted in the previous administration. And what does Ambition Natin 2040 tell us in a nutshell? That the Filipino people want, most of them, 70%, I think, want a simple but comfortable life where they feel secure, where their children finish school, where they are able to take a vacation every year, kahit local. So if you think about it, all of this work that you're doing in financial inclusion is contributing to that long-term vision. Unfortunately, I think some of the estimates are showing that it's no longer a 2040 goal because of the pandemic. It's been delayed by around 5 to 10 years. So maybe it's a 2045 or 2050 goal. But you will be around to enjoy this, as well as my daughter. She's only in 8th grade. So 2030, 2040, 2050, it is the fact that our vision is pointing us toward a future within one generation where no Filipino family is in extreme poverty. No Filipino family goes hungry on any given day. or for any given meal for that matter. And that's, a really good reason to apply your passion, your dispassion, and your compassion, to this kind of work. So once again, thank you for doing that. Thank you for your proposals. To the organizers, thank you for all the hard work that's gone into this. I look forward to the process of coming to conclusion and final fruition during the event on July 9. Where we will be joined by, I hope, because so many registered, more than 33,000 young Filipinos who will be listening to you, alongside, of course, the leadership of the Bangko Sentral and others such as Secretary Carl Chua, who will be joining us as well at some point in the program of NEDA. So thank you again and congratulations, and see you soon. Sarah?
Maraming salamat, MD Tony, for that very heartwarming message. At this point po, I would like to thank all our finalists, all the presenters. Maraming salamat for taking the time and for your effort also. And advance congratulations. We will see you on July 9 sa ating BSP Youth Summit. You may now log out of MS Teams.